I'm sippin', 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 I'm sippin'.
Sippin', I'm 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 sippin'. This is SippinWitSammie. I am SippinWitSammie, Sammie on Barstool. If you ain't SippinWitSammie, you ain't sippin' right. Please get your fucking life together. And I got Sippin here.
Yo, I'm in the building.
And we have the honor of having a fella that I met a few years back on air on FM radio.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had a great conversation. I've been watching his moves, following his moves, come to realize that he's a man of many talents.
Yeah.
But we have Mr. Ingram here, man.
How's it going, y'all?
How you doing,
Thanks for
man?
having me, man. We've been talking about this for a minute, dog.
A minute, man.
Yeah, we did. I forgot that we did meet on air.
On air.
That's how we met. Like, 'cause that conversation, it was just so candid. It was like we were just meeting, just hanging out. Like,
Yeah, we kicked it with a few commercial breaks.
Right. That's funny.
But somebody that, I mean, from everything, the guy has visuals that he produces, edits, directs. He's in front of visuals, doing artistry, modeling, all type of things. He's speaking. He's nurturing a whole little palace right now.
I do a lot of stuff.
He
man.
does a lot of things.
I never know what people want to talk to me about, whether it's like from an artist standpoint, like when I'm working on with music as a producer, or from a director standpoint, I work with a lot of brands, or from like an activist standpoint. You know, I started a whole organization last year to empower Black people called Collab. And
That's what I'm truly interested in. I want to talk about that.
we can talk about it. So, you know, I never, when people invite me, I'm like, what do you want to talk about?
Well, you actually gave a great introduction because you told them the specifics of what I'm talking about as far as what it is that you do offer. So now we can get into it.
Right. Before we get into it, I just want to say how interesting it was when I sat down off camera and I was just admiring your hair and I'm like, how'd you get that? Is that the wet wine? You like, it is the wet wine.
It is the wet wine. Yeah, I definitely was gonna. It's funny because I was like, I want to bring that up.
Yeah.
But you brought it up, like you recognized it. I was like, that's dope because you know, Michelle has the Pink Lady Hair Studio.
Yeah.
And I was over there a couple of days ago, and I did the ad campaign for the wet wine. Like we did a whole few videos.
You did really well too.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, so we shot that, and I was in it. I was the only dude in there. For the commercial for that. But yeah, this was the wet wine hairstyle. If you see me anywhere else, usually my hair is like naturally curly, hanging down. But when you get that wet wine treatment, I'm like, I gotta let it sit in there for a few days because it looks cool to me. I like the way it came out.
Can I address the elephant in the room?
Go ahead.
This is such an ad.
But
it's black on. Keep talking.
I tell you, it's funny though because she recognized
That's
it.
what I was about to say.
That was crazy to me, like, you know.
So it's interesting as a man,
Right?
Like, cause usually when you talk about hair care and hairstyles, like typically or generally, like it's usually not men having those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like that. So I don't want it to be an ad, but I wanted to admire.
Nah, it's genuine.
And that I knew. I was hyped. She was like, yeah, I met him. I was like, guess what? I don't know him, but I kind of know him too, right? So
No, it's all good.
I just wanted to highlight that also.
Yeah, that's the homie, and you know, I'm glad that you know about it. I'm glad you're over there. You know, I think she does.
Yeah, that's my family.
Wet wine is, you know, it's dope stuff.
You're being interviewed by the best.
Oh, I know, it was great.
My sister from another mister.
Yeah, she asked me. She's like, how do your curls get like that? She's like, did you use the wet wine? I was like, I did. He didn't
even tell me, Shell. I had to tell him. I was like, look, that look like wet wine. Like, I'm not just making stuff up. I know these things.
Yeah, like, look, here's my pic. I had it too.
I didn't even tell him that. I didn't even get to tell him that. Like, the best, I didn't even tell him. I didn't show him or tell him any of
You
that.
didn't even tell him that you was my first client ever after I had it invented.
What?
No, I didn't tell him. I didn't get a chance. No.
Why wasn't she in the commercial? You should have been there for the shoot. We could have interviewed her.
I didn't even think about that.
It's a great model.
I'm crazy. I have her pictures online, but.
Well, now we got to do another interview where we talk to her about it.
But definitely.
We talked to Shell. Yeah, we definitely have to. Shell's in the magazine.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, I was.
Oh, so we got to set that up then.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just too crazy.
I know. She was like, "Wow, really?" Like.
I was just there like 2 days ago. That's funny.
That's so funny. I'm just hyped. I did them wet wine curls. I was like, wait a minute, pause. I know those.
Right.
You already know, babe.
One thing as a man, we both got hair.
Right.
You can't have hair, especially not past a certain age, and not pay attention to what goes on with you, because you won't have it no more. It'll be breaking, you know.
Those conversations, even like with beards now, you know. men.
The maintenance is
More
different now.
exactly.
Like, but we in a different generation. Like, there was a time where caring about those things was considered being metro.
Right. I remember
Now
that.
it's normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And mind you, at that time, it was normal in certain spaces.
Right.
It just wasn't mainstream normal. It wasn't
Right.
like the average person didn't know that dudes that you scared of get manicures and pedicures.
Right.
All the way up to the ones that you call when you in trouble.
Right.
And we're legal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they all go and take care of themselves and get massages and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need a fix.
Self care is important, man. It's important for everybody. I mean, it looks different to everybody too. It depends on how your hair, what your hair is, and what you want, how you want to groom yourself. So, but you still got to do it. You got to take some aspect of it.
You know, we gotta keep our hair moisturized no matter what.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
I just wanted to introduce that.
I like that you said
I thought
self care looks different to everybody. But he was talking about with the hair in general, but
That's across the board.
That's across the board.
Yeah, that's across the board.
I think that's a real statement. But
No. I'm not
So,
even talking.
when it comes down to the last year and a half that we've had,
Yes.
you've had a great one in a lot of ways.
I did, man. You know,
The most tumultuous
yeah.
situation that the rest of the world is going through.
It's funny because like last year I was actually saying, I was like, this is a global pandemic and I know everybody's stressing, but in a lot of ways this has been one of the best years I've ever had.
As it should be.
Like, as in so many ways, as a professional, as in my family. So
Professionally, how?
So professionally, right? When the pandemic started, as you know, I was working on the Voodoo Man album, which I still haven't put out. Like I was planning on putting it out last year, but it
Crazy visuals to go
Right.
with it and all of that, because he do both. Yep.
Right, I was doing a whole docu-series called Voodoo Man where we were talking about what it means to be black in this country and how it connects to the entire African diaspora and how so much of that is connected. And it was all leading up to a musical project. But
I've seen some of it
Right.
on some stage. Yeah.
But then, like when the pandemic hit, I felt it just didn't feel like the right time to be putting out that kind of project when everybody is concerned about safety, they're concerned about their community, no one knows what's going on, so many people are losing people. That didn't feel like the right time for that. So I completely switched gears and I made a meditation album called Saturday Night Chakra. And that was like all mellow beats. I contacted some of the healers that I knew that were like doing like meditation, and I had them do like spoken word pieces and shot a whole visual album. It's like an hour long. So I put that out in like the spring, or no, like early summer. And then I got in contact with the Nalaverse. Like they contacted me after that, and they wanted to bring me on as a creative advisor. So professionally, that I was doing great. Like that was, entering a new space. I was helping them making music for them and talking about different visual elements that we can connect with and how to structure a lot of
You
things.
still had space for your own.
And I still had space to continue doing what I was doing in terms
which is important.
of my media and in terms of then also at the same time, last year after the George Floyd incident, everyone was protesting. I said I have to do something that's going to last forever, not just like it's important to hit the streets, but after you hit the streets, what I'm gonna do. So we started an organization there. So I started collab, and that took on. It grew beyond what my initial thought would be. Like we have we have a full board. We put on events. We put on we've done a whole lot. So that started at the same time. So professionally, things just started flowing. Like things just started heading in the right direction. But and I was still making videos for other companies. Like we pivoted, and because we're so small, it's like me and my boy Ryan. We do all our videos. Like we shoot all the stuff. I edit all the stuff. We were still able to get in places and help them get their brand messaging out. So professionally, it was a good time for me in that aspect. Now the family part, that was the part that was surprising a little bit. My sister, who's also a singer that you met,
Great singer.
and performer, I produced for her. She the fall right before that, I think it was like October, she had got engaged to her now husband, and it was like a week after the engagement we found out that she was pregnant. Like she had been pregnant for like 2 months and didn't even know.
Right.
So in the pandemic, she ended up that summer. She ended up having her son, my nephew Astro, and so we had an addition to the family.
Absolutely.
And she had been planning the wedding. And so we had a wedding in, I think it was November. Yeah, November we all went down. The week before we were supposed to go down, we took like an RV trip. First of all, that was a crazy trip. Trying to drive an RV with a baby. Like, we went all the way down to Florida. That joint was nuts. Like, I don't know how many of y'all have driven RVs.
No, and I went to.
Like, it's cool until it gets windy.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that was when you're in Florida. When we were coming back, there was like a hurricane coming. It was wild. But anyway, the trip went well. We got down there. Her wedding, it was a beautiful location. It was in Key Largo. It all went well. So we had a COVID baby, had a COVID wedding, and right before we went on that trip, I found out that my girlfriend was pregnant. So I was like, dang!
Right.
Like that was not what we planned.
I'm so glad that was your reaction.
I was like, dang! So we was we didn't announce anything right away. We actually talked about that in our last podcast. Cause my girlfriend, we're in a group called Skins. I forgot to mention. Started another group. It's called Skins, where she's musically gifted and I produce, and we just work together. So we put out a whole project called Contact, and I was doing a lot. I forgot how much.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, so
I'm telling you.
So
I've
we
seen
put
it
out
from
we
afar.
put out the Skins project, and we found out that she was pregnant, and
You couldn't blow up the wedding, so you had to hold that.
yeah, we just held that. we didn't want it to be about that.
Right, you
We
can't
wanted it to be
do that
about
to your sister's dad.
right. So a little bit later we announced that we were gonna have a baby, and now my son is here, and thank you. Yeah, he turned 7 weeks yesterday. So it's been for me it's been a great period of time for life. Like things have just kind of fallen into place. Things are coming together. Everything's connected, and I'm really excited about where everything's going.
That's one of your full circle things.
Yeah.
He's in part of the best time in his life as an adult, watching the best time that life is, when all your job is to grow.
Right.
Just grow.
Right.
But you're growing at the same time,
Right.
the same rate in
Right.
a lot of ways. You see what I'm saying? Professionally, mentally, mature. Like,
You
it's
know,
crazy.
I feel like I hit like the right stride. Right. Like
That's what I was thinking when you was talking. You just drive.
like I hit everything that I've been planting all these different seeds, and things just started to reap some of those rewards all at the same time.
But that's why we do it.
Right.
That's why you stir multiple pots, because something
Yeah.
will come back soup first.
Yeah, you
And
got
then you tend to that pot, and it's on to the next one.
Right.
And we distribute it, we go to the next one, and we redo it.
Right.
It's an ongoing cycle, it's a process. But your options change every time. The recipe shifts.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that's the beautiful part about
Yeah,
it.
you can't
It keeps
stop.
Engaged.
You can't stop. You can't stop growing. Even when something starts to hit, there's still adjustments you have to
It's
make.
figuring that got to be done.
Yeah. You got to do. I mean, there's constantly trying new things and figuring things out, and I'm still working on I'm readjusting voodoo man, because now since I'm a dad,
That was
right?
my next question.
Like being a black dad, like I have to include that in there. Like
Absolutely.
it's a different project.
And that
now.
was the reason that you couldn't put it out.
Right.
Right.
It's a different. Everything's different
Because
now.
what I was going to say as to not being able to put forward, not thinking that it was the right time to put it out. A lot of people will hear that and be like, well, this project sounds important. Why wouldn't you put it out anyway?
Right.
And just let it catch it in its own time. But as an artist, you have the complete right to want to present your art in a certain kind of element and energy when you present it. That's why people present their art or put out albums around seasons.
Right.
And times of year or business-wise or whatever have you. It's about what's comfortable for what you're trying to present.
Yeah.
I might drop a summer album every summer. But
Right.
then one year I worked on one of them Jones was like, nah, you gotta kinda have one hoodie this
Yeah, it's a winter joint.
You know what I mean?
It got to be cold outside.
And if it don't line up business-wise, I might gotta hold that till next fall.
Right.
It might not get
Those
up.
are some of the decisions. I mean, so we started Ingram Music Group, so we have an independent label. So like I've been making those kind of decisions for a while, like and it's difficult to learn that, right? Because you're always fighting as an artist, like you want people to hear it, but you also
And it gets stale to you.
right,
in
it's
some
gets
ways.
stale to you, right? You'll have like there's songs on there that I've had done since like 2018, 2017. and no one's heard them really, and I love those songs, and I want them to hear it, but I also want to give it the best chance to succeed.
Absolutely.
So
Because
having
they're
those
still your babies.
right,
These are my babies, man.
having to balance those two things and having to figure out, what that looks like is it can be conflicting, but that's part of the balancing act that you got to do. It was difficult for everybody though. Like even the artists with the the biggest artists in the world couldn't figure out how to do things.
Yeah,
like
only
that's
a handful that figured some things out.
right. Like even now, like you look at Drake and Kanye West have been pushing their projects back,
Trying to figure out
because the pandemic was confusing.
And then it got to the point where it was like, hold up, they about to bring stadiums back. Hold up, live
Yeah.
shows about never
But
mind.
now they're not coming back. Especially
That'll push you
at that
back
level.
6 months to a year just based on that. Because like, hold up, we could drop it, then hit the road.
Right.
We can wait on that. Oh man, it ain't happening.
Right.
So how we gonna make this a big deal?
People don't understand a lot of
You gotta
times
restructure
how artists make money now. Because
they just want the art.
right, they want the art, and you want to consume the art, and you want to listen to it, and I'm like that completely makes sense to me, right?
And I think that's fair because they shouldn't have to worry about it. They should be able to just enjoy it. But
right, they should.
should.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is part of the reason you want to wait is like you were talking about. If stadiums aren't opening, you're a stadium level artist.
And you're making stadium sounding
When
music.
you've been putting in the amount of money that you put into this project could be a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
Like realistically, you put it like Kanye and Drake put a couple $1 million into those projects, and if they're not able to recoup that,
It's a loss.
they're going to be taking a loss. Like if they put a project out that they put a lot of time and effort
And it'll
resources
suffer
in,
artistically.
Right.
Because people's memories will remember it as a loss no matter how great it was.
right.
They're going to remember a loss. That's why Kanye took y'all on 4 or 5 live shows and
Right.
made about 3-4 million before you heard it.
Before you heard it, I mean he he's in a position, but that was a very creative way to make the album feel important.
Mhm.
Which is something that's difficult to do when you can't tour, you can't connect with your fan base, you can't go out and see people, you can't have the events that you're used to having. It's difficult to make something feel
We've suffered from not being able to have events.
right.
But we've flourished in other ways. We figured out other
Right, you figure out
strong
different
points that we
things.
had that we didn't know.
Right.
Or
Like
other options.
podcasting was something that Bianca got into because like she was doing the Amazonian Nights series.
Bianca's his sister.
Right, yeah, that's my sister. She was doing the Amazonian Nights, all women's show. Like we did that we were doing that every season where, we was at Underground Arts, and it was a really dope event. But then with the pandemic, we didn't have access to that. It would have been too difficult for us. Like we don't have the resources to COVID testing everybody and all that. So
Insurance things
what we
changed.
decided to do was start a podcast where we could highlight a female artist and have them come on and talk about their journey. So she's still, doing the mission, but it just looks a little bit different. But at the same time, it keeps that brand alive, and when things do open up, it'll be stronger. So, you have to pivot, you have to keep working and figuring things out. But yeah, as an artist, it was a difficult time to,
But even like when you talk about the ways you've grown and the things you had to figure out, it has a lot of similarities in my mind to the space that you've been in lately, with your business and with you opening another business on top of, in addition to, explain what you do.
Well, according to me, that was my question actually for him. I was going to ask, like, with being so diversified or having so many different streams or businesses that you're into, one, what's your order of operation? Or before the order of operation, how did you even go from one to the other? Like, was it a thought process, or was it something that you always knew that you would be in all of these? Like, how did they,
You mean when I was like coming up?
or even as recent as doing it, did you have a strategy? Did you know that you were going to be doing a podcast? Did you know you were going to be doing Voodoo Man? Did you know you were going to be doing your series? You know what I mean?
Right.
Voodoo Man was strategic as hell.
Yeah, Voodoo Man was planned out. In terms of how
You're doing
I
a
got,
lot, so I'm saying, how did it all come
in terms of
together?
how I got and everything. All right, so I'll give you all the because I know so I forgot to bring it back. But we never talked about it on your platform, so I'll go into it. So I come from a real musical family. Like I come from in the Philadelphia area, they've had a lot of success. Like the Sweeties were the background singers for everything Gambling Health did, and most recorded voices. Those are my aunts. My dad was an independent producer who started Society Hill. He worked with all types of acts, Blue Magic, Ronnie Dyson, Patti LaBelle, all those 80s acts. He was killing in the 80s. So I come from that music stuff. I didn't want to do music though. I went to school for film. Like I was a basketball player. Like I went to school. I was playing.
This is the conversation we had before.
Right.
It's so interesting still because listen to it.
I was a Division I basketball player. I played semi-pro basketball. I went to NBA camps. That was my life. Like I was a hooper, and I went to school for film. I always had a passion for film. And so that's what my degree's in. That was my initial business was I'm gonna make videos. Now my sister always wanted to sing. She always wanted to sing. She always wanted to be a performer. She's been doing that her entire life. She's always been singing background.
Like a natural.
Right, yeah, that's ingrained in her. She's been doing that forever. She's been a background singer for everybody, like working in AC. She all types of shows.
Because presence is important.
Yeah.
She has that. You know what I mean? Like she knows how to frontline, and as he's saying, she know how to play the back too.
Right, she knows. When she on stage, that's her world. Like that's what she does. But I started making beats like just for fun. Like I guess to me, I feel like music's genetic, especially watching like my nephew and my son now, like the way they interact with music, like they hear music, it just hits them different. Like the other day I was on TikTok and my son, he's only 7 weeks. He never really engaged with the phone, but like some classical piano, like I had a black dude that was playing classical piano on there. He locked in, like I never seen him lock in on that before. I was like, it's crazy. So I feel like it's genetic. So I was just making beats for fun, like a lot of people did. And I started I asked my sister what she thought of them, and at first she would trash them. She said, "This is trash. I never used it." But then she started liking them. She started so she wrote some songs. So she ended up doing a whole album to beats that I did, and I started doing her videos. And then we decided that we were going to really go at this.
Money is never going to lead a family.
Right.
You hear him?
Well, we decided that was never my plan,
no, but it's beautiful to be able to do that.
Yeah. So we started a label there, and we had a top 5 hit in the UK with Catch 22, and she's been doing well. She's been performing. She's even through the pandemic, she's been blessed to be performing in AC with the Motown show, dancing in the streets.
Nice.
So she's doing her thing. She's doing good and
working.
But I always plan to do video. So video has always been my first home base, and that's still my main income.
So basically, music was not really a thing. It's just easy film.
And I understand that too, because that's kind of how it was with journalism. Like I'm a 4th generation editor and publisher, and I grew up in it. My dad was probably hanging with your dad, literally,
probably, yeah.
Because my dad was with all of those people that you mentioned. Like Patty lived across the street from us when I was a baby, so like it's interesting. But I didn't want to be, and I didn't want to do it. Like it wasn't. I didn't think I went to school for accounting. Like I have an MBA,
but
it just kept calling me, right?
Calling.
And so it's my passion.
I knew
he didn't know it.
Do it.
Right.
He absolutely did know it, so I can absolutely relate to what you're saying.
But it's funny because it's those things. It's like she was doing her thing. We've been discussing for years about her platform and what she planned on, and I seen the transition from her original thought to adapting to where society had went with journalism and stuff like that.
Right.
And one thing she stuck to was it's going to be positive. I don't care what they say people want. It has to be positive.
Yeah, positivity,
and I have to get it out there because people need it. But then you go further on. I never planned on being in journalism or media.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then when I get into my space, I have an opportunity to pull her in and open her up to so many other places that can help with that. It's like she didn't plan it that way. Like she said, you went from accounting to doing it to now it flips to where we're doing.
I was just having this conversation the other day.
And you're a notary now.
Yes, that's
Like-
So that's what I was also thinking about, like the diversification of things. So for me, I think that our community, whether you make it or you're not, it's about the resource or lack thereof, resource and access, right? So I think it's so important for us, and you're doing the same thing too with the information that you are conveying to your audience. But it's just so important that we have resource and access to a plethora of things for us to make sure that we can, continue to accelerate and get where we're not. That's one of my favorite statements.
I was thinking about this actually this week. I was trying to figure out the evolution of how you end up where you end up, especially me with Collab, right? Being the president and founder of an activist group. That's not something I ever planned on doing, right? But when I look back, I could see that how that happened. When I was doing the Voodoo Man project. So before I was doing the Voodoo Man project, I was working with a legendary Philadelphia videographer and video maker, Bob Lott, and his Teamwork Productions. They've been he had the first music video show that showed black artists. When MTV wasn't doing it, they were doing that. So I was working with him for a few years, and actually he just hit me up yesterday.
I remember.
So he entered me into a whole bunch of different spaces. I met Dr. Edward Robinson, who is revered in the black community of the black intellectual community. He created a whole education system that would help empower black youth, and it was all about changing the language and changing how we view ourselves and creating race esteem. Like, that was his thing. Is that part of the problem with black Americans specifically is that we don't have any race esteem, because in the education system they constantly devalue our contributions. They devalue, like, we're taught that we were slaves and that somehow that was better than where we came from. And if you look at what's going on in Texas, it's happening still. So he created an entire education system based around that, and he was very important in kind of pivoting my thought into what the message should be. Like, it didn't change my desire as a creative, because I always wanted to tell stories. I always wanted to, make movies, but it kind of focused like my attention on what this issue was. Like, 'cause it's something that I think a lot of, especially people of color, they understand the oppression, but they don't understand where it comes
because
from.
it's layered.
Right. It's so complex.
Layered, and it attacks differently depending on knowledge is power and responsibility. Ignorance is bliss.
Right.
So depending on what you understand,
right,
it has a different effect.
But I kind of want him to expand on something, because I don't know if I'm knowledgeable about what's going on in Texas. You said if you see what's going on in Texas.
Abortion.
Not just the abortion. Okay. Texas is wild. Texas
with the gun law.
Not the gun law too, but
they just passed a bunch of shit.
They passed a whole bunch of stuff.
They got voting shit.
Right.
Yeah. So they're repealing voting. They're making it more difficult for people to vote, which will mostly affect black people. But what I'm talking about is their education. Like they don't want to talk about anything that is racial. If there was this thing, there's college level education called critical race theory.
Yep.
Which is basically a theory about like how should we be discussing race. But what has happened is the conservatives and the right wing has co-opted that ideology.
So basically,
and made
slavery
it negative.
was sharecropping.
Right.
Because if you put it as slavery, you're demonizing the people that are ancestors of the people that were enslaving people.
Right.
So we're going to wipe that out. It was no longer slavery.
Right.
We were helping these people, giving them an opportunity to gain their own land.
They don't want to talk about
because that's what sharecropping was.
They don't want to talk about any of the terrorism. They don't want to talk about
rent to own, lease to own shit.
Yeah. They don't want to talk about the Klan. They don't want to talk about any of the hangings. They don't want to talk about racial progress. They don't want to talk about any of that. And they banned it from the school system, saying that that's what makes people. They're saying this is what makes people racist. And they're firing when you communicate them about if you communicate or educate kids.
Speaking the truth. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
If you speaking the truth, they don't want any truth.
They're firing and villainizing principals, teachers, all type of people, and then at the same time they doing the same shit with masks.
Yep.
Like it's that's why when you said Texas, I'm like, bro, I be here 2 in the morning on my CNN whatever, like MSNB. You know what I mean? Like,
Texas just
I've seen
nuts.
a lot out of
like,
Texas,
all over. Like,
Texas just like but what happened was, when all that shit happened, everybody picked a side. Everybody had to make their lines drawn in the sand. There was a time where you could just operate under, we know what it is.
Right, yeah.
Now you have to pledge allegiance to a side.
Right, you have to. You got to pick a side because
everybody threw their hand in. Well, this is what I control. This is what I'm going to control.
Especially when it comes to when it comes to children's education, that's such a vital point in time. Like that, if your kid learns that this country didn't do anything to black people, that this country was just and it was right in what's supposed to be happening, re-educating them about the true history is going to take an entire lifetime. Like that is more dangerous than
no. You skipping something.
What's that?
The intention is not to ever educate.
No, I know they never want to.
It's to create the next wave of supremacy.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
At the same time, as soon as somebody tells them that's not true,
it's violence.
All hell is going to break.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? There's not going to be tell me what really happened.
No. That's but I'm talking about, so to me, right, one of the things that I always looked at that was interesting is the same stuff that white people see, like that would make them supremacists, the same stuff that the black people in Texas are going to see. If you're a black person in Texas, you have a kid and they're learning that stuff, they're going to learn self-hatred.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Like, so those are people I'm talking about. The white people are going to be going crazy. Like I don't know what's going to happen in Texas, but the black people that live in Texas that have kids, trying to teach those kids that that's not true, that's not what their value is, that's not what they come from. that's going to take them a whole lifetime.
Which is why we praise our elementary and middle school on this pod every month.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
We went to a private black elementary and middle school, and I was there from pre-kindergarten to 8th grade, to graduation. We was in the same classes, you know what I mean, same year and all that. But like Black History Month was every day.
Right.
Every day.
You know what I mean? You know how people make jokes like,
we had
I'm
contests,
black
we had
every day.
oratorical
Why I
essays,
need
we
a
had-
month talking themselves out of the few days that we do get recognized, which is weird to me. But at the same time,
I have a question for y'all
people
about
that
that.
say like 420 is every day for me. All right, cool.
Right.
Well, Black History Month was every day for us.
I got a question for y'all about that. How many of your classmates from there have an entrepreneurial spirit or are doing building something?
Some of the most
of them
active and productive people I know, I've known since they was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Right. See,
And when you 5, you only know motherfuckers from school.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so that was Dr. Robinson's whole idea, man. It's like part of the problem is that we
gotta educate ourselves.
We gotta educate ourselves
And
like,
each
when
other.
you see it.
We have
Right.
to educate our youth and each other. Like
Right.
we can't get to this point where we just know everything,
Right.
and we don't need to progress because this shit is forever changing, and there's so much deeper levels than what you immediately have access to.
Yeah.
That it's scary once you start reading and seeing certain things because it shows you how much further you have to go.
Can I tell
You know what I mean?
how-
And that's why people fight it.
Right.
That's why people fight it.
I don't even think I mentioned it to you yet, but I'm so excited for my school year, for my kids' school year, or my oldest son specifically school year.
Speak to
Because so I live outside of the city, and my son has a black male principal and a black female assistant principal.
Nice.
I'm so ecstatic to see, and he had a black
These were the
teacher.
Conversations that we've had when she was
It's so important.
Exactly.
It's so
So when I was thinking
important.
about moving out there, I moved out there specifically for the value of the education itself.
Right.
I did not know the diversification. Like I did not know that they would be able to identify with their teachers from first grade.
Yeah.
And it's not that because it's a predominantly white neighborhood and predominantly white
So that's
school
always a concern.
system.
Yo, I went to a mostly white elementary school. There was not a lot of black teachers, not a lot of black students. Like I always remember my dad came into the school one day, and so you know how people think that diversity can be a good thing, but sometimes it gets it gets confused. You don't need that. Diversity doesn't mean equity. Like you need equity.
Sure.
But my dad came into the elementary school, and he asked them to put all the black kids in one class. He's like, I want my son to have some friends who look like him. Like, because I'd be in class, like they put a black kid in this class, black kid in that class, thinking that they're being diverse, but we didn't know each other. So he put us all in the same class.
Y'all would be that black kid in the mall that's in a group of white kids that looks like he has low self-esteem and
Right.
don't know where to get a haircut.
Right.
Yeah.
So like looking back on it, that was such a power move. Now I was always connected to
Did
the
it happen?
They do it?
That's
Yeah.
what I
Like,
said.
Oh, yeah,
don't
no,
skip that part,
No,
bro.
they definitely did it. Well, I said he asked, but he didn't really ask. He was like, y'all gonna
Gotta demand it.
my son, y'all gonna put all these kids together in the
Boss
class.
off.
Like, yeah. So I mean, my dad don't be playing around with stuff like that. He
Well,
he's a character.
I
I
mean,
love it.
the strength, and mind you, I met you and your sister for short periods of time a couple years ago.
Right.
I talked to y'all, man. Y'all
Right.
come from some kind of reassurance that y'all are supposed to be who y'all are.
Oh yeah, for
Regardless
sure.
of what, you know what I mean? That
That definitely
there's a lot
comes
of
from that.
exponents that go outside of whatever that means. But for whatever that is, when they talk about their purpose and what they're doing, they're not trying to do anything.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, you just
They
gotta
don't-
do it.
They're doing things, and
Right.
then the more you pick at it, the more shit fall out that they doing. It's like just like him.
Yeah.
You see how every time you talk, you're like,
He's
oh yeah,
always
I forgot
got
about this, and I forgot. And the crazy thing is, you didn't forget. You got time. We ain't
Right.
rushing. You know what I mean?
No, I'm just
But
saying because I was going through the year. I'm like, dang, I forgot.
it's
how I
so
forget
much
that.
stuff that, and I've been watching.
Right.
Yeah.
I tap in probably every 3 months or so.
Right.
Recently, it's been probably every other week. Like, yo, bro, I got to get with you.
Yeah, you
but
been hitting
it
me up.
also starts with, I know you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
It ain't no rush. But
You've been hitting me up, man. I've been wanting to come.
I've
I've been wanting to come on here. Yeah, man.
I love talking to this, bro.
We got great conversations, and it's funny when y'all said that y'all came from an all black education system. It immediately clicked for me, like, oh, that's why y'all are acting the way y'all act. Like I recognize that y'all are reassured in what you're doing. Like y'all are coming from a position of passion and purpose and doing what you want to do
I say that all
instead
the
of doing what is given. Like you're just taking like, oh well, this is
Or
what I gotta
expected,
do.
or-
And crazily, and neither one of our parents understand it now, but we've all gone through the conjunction part.
Right.
They don't even realize the decisions I'm making that you may or may not agree with is the reason you put me in that damn school.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's
but you
why.
don't come from that.
Right.
You come from knowing that I need that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got it a different way to have your awareness.
Right.
But to be bombarded with that daily in a positive way.
Yeah, that
Because
was
when
necessary.
you were kids, you need to be bombarded with
You
shit.
need that,
like
you know,
that.
especially black kids, because everything you're going to see outside of that is going to
tell
be
you the
attacking.
opposite.
Yeah, it's going to tell you
the opposite of what them hallways tell you.
Right, it's going to attack that, and
But
so
you
you need
can't
to be
tell
bombarded
us
with
shit.
that. Right.
When we sit in the same room, it's like when I'm around the people that I went to elementary and middle school with, I know that mentally, when it comes to the things you're talking about, passion, purpose, pride,
Right.
even a little bit of arrogance.
Yeah.
I know that we all have that. We all
Right.
have that, regardless of pace, state in life or whatever. We all have that. When I think about the people I went to engineering and science with, I know that if I never play spades with you, we could kill the spades table together, no matter
Right.
what. I know you gonna get it. We good.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's just certain things that I know is just a doo-doo-doo-doo thing
Right.
that the other people in the room won't even realize is going on while it's going on.
Right.
Like our reaction to certain statements in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to outwardly react to it, but I'm gonna nod at you.
Right.
I'm gonna shoot the.
Right.
So let me ask you this. So just in regards to a nod, right? So whenever I'm like one black person in the area and I see like another black person, like I kind of like be expecting the nod or something, like the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And I felt so upset when I was in Iceland and I saw some other people of color and they acted like they supposed to be the only ones there. I was like, dang, like.
Well, where were they from?
They looked more African.
What was the movie?
Not American. They didn't look
Remember
American
Grown
at
Ups?
all.
Remember the movie Grown Ups and
Yeah.
Grown Ups 2? When the two black guys of the movie was fighting over being the black guy
Yes.
for the town?
Well,
That's kind of
sometimes
made me
I'm
think
the
about
black
that.
guy. I'm the black guy.
Yeah.
You're the
Right.
other
I
guy.
was wondering, do men go through that? That's what I was wondering. Have either of you ever experienced something?
I was just
speak to black
thinking.
people when I see them out,
Me
especially
too.
in
Yeah.
those situations. And usually they speak back, and if they don't, I know it comes from one or two places. And neither one of them I could really judge you for. Like, I know it probably comes out of insecurity.
Yeah.
You
Right.
see what I'm saying? Or a lack of knowledge and understanding.
Right. So this was what my thought was when you said that, and why I asked where they're from or if you knew where they were from, because that's a black American thing. Like that's a black American thing.
To
like,
what?
To when we see each
wanna
other
acknowledge
and
each other.
to want to acknowledge each other
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
That is a black American thing, and in a lot of other countries, I don't know if it's I don't think it's the same.
Yeah.
Because
I can understand. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
so like I don't know how it is in Iceland, but I know like in a few other
Only she knows how it is out.
right in a few other countries, right? They're more they go more nationalism, so it's like they try not to do racism. So it's like it's
Got
not
you.
black, it's like we're Algerian. So they
Yeah.
follow their flag, which
Yeah.
I think is incorrect, because even though they say that you're still judged on your skin color, and as soon as the whole diaspora can understand that,
It's a
quicker
thin
we
line.
can come together.
I
It's
agree
a
with
thin
that.
line
Yeah.
because the only reason that white people in this country are white people in this country was to divide.
There
them
is no
against
white
us.
people,
Exactly.
Right.
But before that, you were who you were. You were where you were from.
right?
You was Irish. You was this and that.
Well,
But
that's
when you
the
have poor white people living next to poor black people, and they all looking up at the rich white people. Then you tell the poor white people why
No,
you
you-
mad at us.
Well, what
He's taking
happens-
your jobs.
what happens is this, like, and this is why if you
They
ask
did it in
any,
Mexico.
I was about to say the same.
No, it's
took
the
it
same
out.
playbook.
You
Yeah.
just took the words out of my
Same
mouth.
exact
Yeah.
playbook.
Because it went from Asians to Mexicans.
But Malcolm X
Right.
and them told you that. They said it ain't going to end at us. It'll be you next.
well,
Yeah.
what they do is they assimilate. They allow other groups to come in. Like when Italians first immigrated to this country,
Yep.
they were not allowed. They were not white. They were Italian.
Yeah.
They were put in the ghettos.
Yeah, I'm
and-
about to say they was looked down on.
Yeah, they were looked
Yeah.
down on. And that's part of the reason that they had to form the mafia.
Same-
That's why they had to.
Together, yeah.
Right. That's why the same reason we started gangs. They had to come up with their own economic system. They had to come up with their own system of
Protection.
policing and protection, because they were not afforded the rights that this country was supposed to be providing to everybody.
Right.
But as
and they
more
come from somewhere that means something just like the
Right.
fuck we do.
Right.
well, so there's two aspects to that, right? They're connected to their motherland. Like they can speak the same language. I don't know
Well,
where
that's where we're at a disadvantage.
we are at a disadvantage, because they so
Against everybody.
thoroughly disconnected us from are people that we don't know. Like, even if I did a DNA test, I'm not connected to the land. Like, I don't know nobody there. I don't know who I'm related to there. I can't go back and say,
go and be like, hey.
I can't go like, this is where I'm from exactly. Yeah. I don't know what language they speak there. And that's true for most Black American people. And we're disconnected from in that capacity. So that's one disadvantage.
Especially the percentage that was born here.
Right, born here.
Born they'll never let you know that.
Well, you can't know that. So the other aspect of it was as more and more Black people and more people of color came in, then they accepted Italians into white people. Yep. Like, which is a club.
Now we have a lower class. We have someone else to shit on.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, that's how it's always been. Like, you know, they did the same thing with the Irish. You know, like they had ghettos.
That's why the Irish are fighters.
Well, the Irish was fighters before they even got here. Like, they was fighting that. They was actually, it's funny because they was fighting the same fight over in Europe, and they come over here and they fight, and then they join up with them. Like, that's crazy. Never mind. So, you know, history is wild, man. I wish people were more into like looking at the actual history of the world. Because you can learn so much about so many things.
But guess what? How interesting is this, though?
That you know history because you were taught a certain brand of it.
But that's what I'm saying. Because look how interesting history is now going to become, like Texas, as we were just speaking, where they're not either telling the whole story, the truthful story, whatever. Right. So those children may think they're actually learning the truth. Right. Not. So
well, that's also true. Yeah.
Parents are telling you that you're going to this place specifically to learn the things that you need. This place
no, but what about those kids? But what about I'm saying, but the kids. But I'm saying. These are for children who. What if you have a parent who don't know the truth? Like,
so you know what's funny? I was watching a show. I was watching a show called on Netflix called "How to Become a Tyrant." Yeah. Like, and it was all about the different dictators from from Stalin to Hitler to Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, and so they came up with this playbook for like the tyrant playbook. And one of the first things you do is erase the history. Like Muammar Gaddafi wrote the Green Book for what country was that?
Libya.
Was it Libya? I'm trying to remember exactly. It might have been.
Pretty sure that's where he was from.
Yeah, where he was from.
Sure.
Yeah, and he gave all the kids. That was what they learned in history. There was no history before him. It started with his rise to power.
With his regime. Wow.
So, if you think that that's the only place that happened, you're wildly incorrect. If you think that the history that we have learned in American public schools is the accurate world history, it's just not true. I mean, you have to get other perspectives.
The realest shit I ever heard is that the winner writes the history books.
Yeah. Napoleon said that.
If the winner writes the history book, then it's a lot of shit that's going to be excluded.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Especially when, like, even in your life, your life, when you think about things that you've done that made you who you are, they might not have to make the movie.
Right.
You might not want that to be the part that's remembered, even though it made you who you could be president in the next 10 years, and you still wouldn't want these 4 years of your life.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Out there. So without wiping out an entire nation of people or you know what I mean? Without doing that, everybody has something they're not going to put in that book.
Right.
So you literally need people that are historians that really do the work. But you can't depend on the system for it.
Yeah, but even that, I think history is designed to, like, the way they teach history is designed to control. It's like it's another use position for control. Like that's why we're taught Western European history, like in America. Like why do I care about what happened in Britain? Like, yo, that was not the most interesting place in the world. Why are we learning about the Black Plague? We should be learning about who cured the Black Plague, like who brought to them, like how did you get out of that?
My biggest problem with American and world history, I only like Black history. When it came, like, history was the subject that I checked out in all the time, unless it was Black history. But my problem is you want me to memorize dates and names.
Yeah, it shouldn't be about that.
It's all about dates and names of shit that might have happened like that.
Well,
do you understand how dumb that is?
I know, I understand
when I'm in an environment that tells me that this motherfucker created that, not this motherfucker.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like, that's like, yo, you're telling me to convince myself of some bullshit. Just memorize these things. Where at that time I was good at memorizing things. I had it was before smoking. But it was like, I can't lie to myself.
Memorization shouldn't be a part of education at all.
It's stupid.
Yeah, like just trying to memorize facts and dates. That's not what I'm talking about.
It's
What
the
I'm
dumbest
talking
shit
about. And that's why people don't like history.
I like math and science.
People don't like history because they feel like it's just memorizing dates. But to me, it's like, how did we end up here? How did this happen?
You're only tested on the date part of it.
Right, you're only tested on that.
If they tested you on the journey and let you,
if you like, I always think about this. If you imagine real people in these situations, like if you look at historical situations and think some actual person did this, instead of like thinking about a date or
I keep it real. The Oregon Trail made me understand shit. The video game,
right? Everybody loves
question.
We always talk
trying
about
to buy
that.
shit from the shop.
Right.
That shit made me understand that whole thing.
Yep.
Way more.
Way better because now you're in the shoes.
Interact, and now the kids actually have the technology, we have the programs.
Right.
They're not approving the right ones. But we talked to Frankie and she said she got a whole process.
I was just thinking about calling her.
You know what I mean?
Just as we were sitting here.
Okay.
You might know who Frankie is.
I heard the name. Yeah.
She wrote "Please Don't Stop the Music" for Rihanna. She wrote
right.
We had her on here and she was
crazy.
saying like, I can teach your kids they multiplication tables while we wait in the line at the supermarket, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like she has a formula through song,
right,
to teach them.
Song's a great way, right?
Whatever level they're on.
The funny thing is because memorization, song is one of the best forms to memorize.
The reason that everybody's singing and rap right now is because melody catches universal.
Yeah,
you don't have to speak the language to understand the melody.
That's why people used to clown Mike for not saying Michael Jackson.
ABCs is always said to the same rhythm.
Right, it's the same rhythm.
It's a melody.
Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But like Michael Jackson was a global superstar. People used to laugh at the fact that they didn't understand what they were saying. Like he was saying, like,
I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm not gonna stop.
Right. Well, yeah. Whatever.
Y'all didn't even understand.
It doesn't matter.
But she actually clarified that for us. She said it actually was an African chant.
No, it was Mama Say Mama Sa Mama Kusa.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But everybody. But it was so many debates. But go ahead.
No, but what I'm saying is worldwide. It's just you don't have to know the words.
Yeah.
It's the rhythm. It's the melody of it.
It's the feeling.
And
the
that's
energy,
why he was such a global star. Like
think about the patterns.
Right.
All I want to know is that they don't really care.
That's right. Yeah, you don't have to know.
That's a chant in any language.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That is a warrior chant. Like, all I want to know is that they don't really care about us.
So just think about that. Having that will you don't have to know the words to enjoy that. Right? Like that's something that you can enjoy in any language.
His production was crazy. He could make a movie, whatever imagery
he
wanted.
Well, he enjoyed the whole
when you see the
marketing
revolution in the video,
right?
You know he on your time anyway.
Right.
It's just like graffiti wasn't created in hip hop. Graffiti is in any place where motherfuckers is impoverished at.
Mm-hmm.
It's been throughout history. Graffiti has always existed, not in the same form. Everybody wasn't doing bubble letters.
Right.
Motherfuckers was hitting shit up like this us.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? And when you realize that,
right,
it's similar to a lot of things in music and entertainment.
Oh yeah, well when you feel like you don't have a voice, you find ways to make your voice heard. And that's what that is.
So the relativity of it is like, I don't have to never see your hood to know that you got a hood.
Right. Oh yeah.
Never has seen that sunshine that you talking about or woke up. Currency got a song. It's one verse and it's literally him waking up in the morning in a hotel, smoking a joint and walking down the beach.
Right.
And it's
universal.
But when you listen to it, it's like I had one of them days when I woke up, just smoked something, just grooved, and didn't have to worry about nothing.
Right.
Or like Ice Cube, today was a good day.
Right.
He said that was his biggest song in his career. He said when he recorded that song, all his homies told him he was a nut. We don't rap about that type shit. He said, I can't have one good fucking day. We talk gangster shit all the time.
Right.
I can't have a good day. You know why that's his biggest record? Because more motherfuckers had good days than carried AKs.
Yeah.
And he said, I didn't even have to use my AK.
Yeah.
But once you make a song about having to use your AK, how many people relate to it?
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think that's one of the interesting things about hip hop is the energy behind it. Like, it's not the actual usage of an AK. It's the idea of fighting against something that is oppressing you or fighting against having these emotions,
right?
Is what resonated with people.
Well, I mean, as far as bragging,
the braggadocio,
the AK part,
right?
You see what I'm saying? Like, because there's levels, and I'm an artist, so I'm careful. I try to be careful about because I got a song called Sippin. I say I don't give a fuck about DUI.
Right.
I ain't tell you go get a fucking DUI,
right?
But I'm telling you when I'm on a fucking couch, I'm not thinking about how I'm getting home, but I also know I got Lyft in my phone.
Right. You know what's funny? Like, so because of the space I'm in. in terms of what I talk about, the whole Voodoo Man series and having collab. And a lot of times people think that I'm against, like negative rap. And that's not true. I feel like artists should make whatever they want to make, whatever resonates with you. If it's your story, what I'm against is the constant pushing of one narrative. Like there's a million narratives. There's people out there talking about a whole bunch of different things. But there's only like a few stories that get funded.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm against.
I got two parts to this. One thing I used to always say, if your favorite rapper is Styles, I hope that your second favorite rapper is Barney. Not because I don't like Styles, but because if you listen to Styles all day and you're not in a good space, boy, oh boy, if you're impressionable,
right,
it could get dark for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you'll wake up 10 years later realizing that 2-day period fucked up 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I understand that. But also, have y'all ever came to the realization, let's stick to rap, right? That you might not listen to your favorite rapper as much as you listen to another rapper.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's like a big difference. Like for me, Hove, it's my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Since '96,
Right.
been my nigga. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But if I'm in the car, which is usually when I'm listening to music, you'll probably hear more Young Jeezy.
Right.
And Jeezy to me has way less classic albums,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but he has a lot of mixtape shit I love.
Yeah.
And the albums that he has that I love they give me that energy. Like
I'll tell
when
you
I'm
this,
fighting
them-
traffic
them-
and I'm on a
them
highway,
Jeezy-
I need to hear that.
Them Jeezy Jay-Z records be the ones though.
But the joints
seen it all.
together, no.
Them
When
joints
the what's the
together.
name joint come on?
Go Crazy?
Not Go Crazy.
Seen it all?
Seen it all.
I said that
Yo,
first.
seen
I don't get through the first
I said that
verse
first. Yeah.
without going back 3 times.
Seen
on
It All is the one. Yeah.
Builds so much. I listen to that song every time I play it, and Kay can attest to this. Damn near 6 times before it's over.
Seen It All is
because
the
it's
one.
so much. Like they talking that talk, man.
Yeah.
It
Right.
makes sense. It's not overshot. It's
Right.
actually undercut.
Yeah.
Like it's that.
I was at a Jeezy show
Like
last
the
week.
Pusha and Hove joint.
Yeah, I was at a Jeezy show last week, and it was like, "What you think his closing song should be?" And I said it should have been that song. It wasn't, but I said, "Seen It All," but
Right.
obviously he can't do that. But
Oh.
that should have been the closing song.
That's
You don't
that's a
understand,
banger.
man.
That
He
is
said,
it.
but everybody back because that nigga can't drive.
Yeah.
Like, do you know? Like, people don't know what it was like growing up at a time where niggas had more money than sense.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers was 15, 16, 17 years old pulling up in machines, and they was supposed to be on bikes.
I think
still,
that I think guess what?
mentally.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me your opinion on this.
So like little shit like that just jump out when you hear it. Like, yeah.
So as you said, so you're not the first person that we've heard that said that although the pandemic was a terrible time for a lot of people, we lost people. And
I heard
You know,
a lot of people say it was
a lot
great.
said it was a great time. But I think that, so tell me your opinion on this. There's a lot of money back in them days. I think that the current days with PUA and not only just PUA, I think that people we had to take care of ourselves. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Didn't know what was going to happen.
And I love to see the entrepreneurship. I talk about this a lot too on this platform. I love to see the growth. I think it's at an exponential rate of how many black businesses are erupting and surviving.
What I think happened was people were forced to. So with the economic assistance, whether it's PUA, the unemployment jumped up. All that stuff allowed people to slow down for a second and stop having to just waste all their time at a
Hamster
job.
wheel.
Right. It allowed them to step off that and take a step and assess the situation and figure out what was going on in their life. Like you had to slow down. No matter what you were doing, the pandemic slowed you down no matter what it was.
But guess what? It sped things up too. So my one question was, do y'all think that the money was around now? To me, it's reminiscent of those days with the way that
Well,
money
speaking
around.
of Jeezy, one of the first things he said was let the dollar circulate. The more
Right.
motherfuckers that have money, the more motherfuckers are going to spend money.
We should definitely let it
Let the
circulate in our
dollar
community a little
circulate.
bit
That's
more.
a Billy Preston song. Jersey, Philly. That,
Yeah.
again, that's Sound of Philadelphia. Like it's such a because it's a concept that's so necessary. You have to let the dollar circulate.
But it should circulate in
always
our
say-
community.
In our
bro.
community.
It has to circulate in our community.
Well, we have to keep the dollar in our community longer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We're
so
way
sure.
It's at
behind
ours.
every other
It's at
community.
ours.
But one thing that I always say is just in general, you need producers. What is it? What I say? Oh, that's what it is. You need the motherfucking the giants that provide the plug.
Right.
You need the hustler. You need the customer.
Yeah.
but you need that in all different areas.
Yeah.
Just because I provide, I'm the plug over here, I'm still a customer over
here.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But the difference is the hustler talks to both the customer and the plug.
Right.
The customers don't get to talk to the plug.
Right.
The plug don't want to talk to the customer.
Mhm.
The world works off of that relationship.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to dollars circulating,
Yeah.
no matter where it's put out from, it's still gonna go somewhere because
Right.
I'ma still need a service.
Well,
too.
here's what
I still
what
need
happens,
some
right?
shit too.
Yeah.
With that, you can be you're a customer sometimes, but you also have to have money. And what's been happening is people. And I think what you're kind of talking about is people started to have some money to be customers.
And that's what I
Absolutely.
mean.
Right,
Now,
because-
when everybody gets the same $1,200 or whatever,
Right.
now there's a bunch of people that have $100 that they wouldn't have been spending.
Right.
But taking it a step further, I love to see,
that's
like I
low
said, the entrepreneurship that came
Well,
out of it.
'cause-
Look at all the
Right,
businesses.
Well,
Yeah,
when I
have
do these
to.
And they're
festivals
actually
shit,
flourishing. A lot of people are doing well.
a lot of
Yeah.
the festivals that I go to, and like you say, these people are doing great business. These motherfuckers is telling me like, yeah, we just started during the pandemic.
yeah. Well,
We just
you know,
start,
You know
like,
something
just-
else I wanted to say?
You know, and they're talented, but
Right.
they just got the initiative or the time or whatever.
right.
It's beautiful.
You know what else I want to say? You were about to say something.
No, I was gonna say you were right about things like as people slowed down, certain things accelerated that were gonna happen anyway, right?
I'm
like
glad you said that. That was my next
because
point.
there's not gonna be a lot of these menial jobs in 5 to 10 years.
You were
At all.
taking. I let you go before I went to my next point. That
Right.
was my next point. Go
Right,
ahead.
the jobs that people are working aren't going to exist. There's new technology that's going to be replacing people, and if
Somebody
you
I know got they fucking delivery from a robot.
But-
yeah, it's bound to happen.
Already.
It's been, and that's something we've been talking about that for like last 5 years. It's on the horizon. It's coming. So it's great that people are getting the idea that they have to be an entrepreneur for themselves. You're gonna have to make your own money. You're gonna have to find new
Provide a
business, and you're gonna
We
have
have
to
to stay in
provide
the trend,
services.
though. We have to stay in the trend.
Yeah, you got to
have
provide a
stay in the
service
trend.
that's necessary, that's needed, and that also provides you with more purpose. Like I think it's much better to work for yourself in something that you like to do, love to do, know how to do, than just working for somebody else.
You know what I think the middle ground is though to it all? The beauty comes from, even though you did it out of necessity, for a lot of people, it put them where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Mhm,
They're living
absolutely.
their purpose. Because a lot of the times, you know, you go to countries all around the world, the motherfuckers out there hustling every day. They on the side of the road, they
Yeah.
walking up and down the beaches, they doing whatever to get their money every day.
Yeah.
That's out of necessity. There's a lot of people that figured out how to take what they love, the
Mhm.
fact that they make good muffins or they make the
Right.
dopest barrettes or whatever the fuck they got going on, and they're able to realize that, oh shit,
Well,
there's people.
one
that
of the
wanna
things that I
fucking
don't think
support
that people, that I don't think our community really understands about a lot of stuff is a lot of these businesses that have grown, that have scaled up. They've been in existence for a while. They start off with like, you know, you selling muffins on the side of the road, then you get a truck.
First, you
and
tell us out your house.
Yeah, if you sell them out your house, you sell them on the road. Maybe you get a truck, and then you know, if you pass it down to your
Cheesecake
kids,
lady.
right?
Yes.
You pass it down to your kids.
You know what
Maybe
I'm
then you
talking
open up a shop, you know, and then maybe it becomes a chain. But like
The cheesecake lady used to set up across the street from one of the biggest churches in the city every Sunday
Mhm.
and sell cheesecakes.
it's a great
Then
spot,
she had a nice little spot out the county.
right?
Then she made another. You know what I mean?
Right.
But this was like, bro, you talking about when you scale these things, when you planning it, you always tell yourself it's going to take so much longer when you could be doing it.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think people look at these businesses and they get intimidated by the fact that like, how could I don't have the money to open up a storefront? Like maybe you don't need to right now.
But five,
It shouldn't stop you from doing what you want to do. Like, you know, you talking about Jeezy and like, yo, they was selling records out their trunk.
Yeah.
They didn't start off, you know, doing all these shows. Like they started off with low key shows. They were selling
From the
records
muscle.
hand to hand. They were, you know, like that was if you wanted to be a rapper back then, Master P and them.
Yes.
Oh, but
You know
the
what I
Country
wonder-
Boys had hustle because they didn't have access.
Yeah, if you don't, but you can create, and we're in a place. We're in a place now where everybody has. The problem is everybody has access.
Access.
Everybody
I think
has
it's too much
access.
access.
It's too much.
Let's talk about
I wouldn't say it's too much access
It
because
is
it has.
because you have to think about how you utilize it though. So maybe
Right.
not too much.
Too
It's
many
not too
voices.
much, but it's a lot of
Too many
voices.
voices.
And what the part of the issue is, I love the
Credibility.
the democratization
Freaking problem.
of the technology
Voice.
and the access, but there's no gate. There's no
Gauge. There's no credibility. There's no
anyone can do it.
benchmark. There's no standard.
So you don't know if what you're doing, like you don't know if what you're doing is good or not because you can put it out on the same platform, and you don't know, and it allows for a lot of novelty things
Absolutely.
to work. So instead of it being a good product, it's something that's maybe really funny or maybe really weird, or somebody does something that just makes people talk, which has become
that's
like
fine because that's entertainment.
Yeah, and it's entertainment. But what happens is there's a lot of people who make really good product that get overlooked and feel discouraged because they don't understand the marketing aspect. Like now you have to be an artist and understand business more than ever. Like you really have to understand business more than ever.
And these kids is figuring it out on the fly.
And
so you gonna be behind if you don't.
Oh yeah.
My perspective is also, I understand that too, but from my perspective, I feel like there's a platform for people to put out things that lack substance or truth or quality.
You can put out anything.
You know what I'm saying? So that's when I say like too much access.
I don't necessarily
like the fact, like people that don't fact check. If somebody tell you the sky is black and you go out there and you tell them, I'm telling them the sky is black. Guess what? No, because they told me the sky was black.
I think this has been I've been saying this
on a grand scale right now.
Hi. This is Juice from Elevated Entertainment. Is this Font Production?
Hi, this is Kay with Font Production.
I am calling because I like to get some information on getting my business in order.
Okay, let's see what you have already. Do you have an LLC?
I do not.
Cool. Is your name already trademarked?
I think that is something I would like to get trademarked. I didn't even think about that.
Awesome.
I will be, and I do have a few artists that I work with, and I need to make sure that all of their business is taken care of and their music is covered legally.
Okay. Do you have those registered with a pro?
I do not.
What about your songs? Are they copyrighted?
One does, the others don't, but this is the reason why I'm calling, because it's time for me to get all of those things in order, and it seems like you do all of them.
I certainly do.
One-stop shop.
Absolutely. Let's get started.
I love it.
That's what I'm saying.
This is what I've been saying for like the past few years.
As a journalist, I can't take it.
Yeah, that's hard for me too. I think that the next, and this goes back to what we were talking about with education. The next big issue that we're going to be facing is misinformation.
Absolutely, we're facing it now,
but we're not fighting.
To a greater scale.
It's to a greater scale.
Schools. Again, they're doing
to
it
a greater
schools.
scale because
on major media platforms.
Yeah.
there's so
I don't
there's
trust the media, and I am the media. It's a shame.
This is exactly what I'm about to say. There's no trust of anything. No one has any source they trust, and when you don't trust anything, what happens is you only trust yourself. And what I'm saying by that is, whatever you think, you go out and find something that reinforces that view.
Yep.
And you can find something that
reinforces
right. And when you don't have anything that is confronting your view that you trust, something like you don't have a source that is confronting that and making you double check or think about what you're thinking, then you end up in an echo chamber, and then you get lost.
I think the same result comes from entitlement though. Like
For
I don't
sure.
mind everybody having a fucking voice, but when somebody tells you, yo, that's not this, and tries to provide you this, and then you say you just hating, you just
it's not. Yeah,
like, you got every deflection from.
It's a million deflections, right?
I have no problem with saying something on here, learning something, and popping up next week and saying my bad, I misspoke.
Right.
So I try to counter that.
But part of the problem is because people are formulating their entire personal identity off of these concepts and ideas. Like you can learn. you should be able. You should not be a concept. Like you're a human. The concepts might change.
You should grow.
And a lot of that, we're watching it on a grand scale when it comes to like the whole COVID debate, like and all the misinformation surrounding the science around what's happening.
Yep.
People don't understand the science, like the process of scientific method, right? Like it's never going to be 100%.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to ever be 100%. It's constantly going to evolve. Things are going to change because that's what happens when you get new information.
I never thought I'd see so many white people fight the scientists. I thought it would just be us. I didn't know that they was like, we got a bunch of reasons.
We have a whole bunch of reasons.
We be like, you know what?
And
I don't trust it.
Right.
But these motherfuckers don't trust. That make me like, yo, this is unprecedented. Like could you have ever imagined it wouldn't be a majority us saying it?
I knew black people were gonna have an issue, and that's to me. I always gotta say this. I understand why black people don't trust stuff. I think we have to do a better job educating, but I also knew that white people aren't gonna trust stuff.
Really? Did you?
Yeah.
Now this is
Trump became president. How did this happen?
Exactly. Now.
Misinformation. Misinformation.
The one question that I did want to make sure I asked you while I had you.
Yeah.
You, your lady, your sister, and her spouse. Y'all all went through COVID pregnancies.
Yeah, that was crazy.
A lot of precautionary changes as far as who could be where and all of that shit. vaccination decisions based on having it. Like, how does all of this play? Because I need somebody to tell it in real time.
Yeah, so
you went through it with your whole family.
So my sister was pregnant in the summer. That was like at the peak. The COVID was peaking, and it was she was only allowed to have her spouse Paul in there. She had wanted to have a doula. Shout out to Paul. But he was the only one that could go in there. We couldn't go there. There was no visitation, and she was lucky. She just made the cutoff for having him because she might have been by herself, which is going
in the beginning it was by yourself. In the beginning,
quarantine or whatever.
She was a little bit later because in the beginning they had nobody.
And nobody was in there for the first couple months, and she just made the cutoff. It was in early June. So they had just allowed one visitation let me say this: having been there as a man, I needed to be there to support. Like a woman going through pregnancy, that by herself.
I can't imagine if I had my baby by myself. I can't imagine.
That's messed up. It's medieval. That's some kind of torture. Like that. That's not something that anyone should have to go through. So I was glad that Paul was able to be there. Shout out to the woman
that did have to do that.
Yeah, because that's completely messed up. Now for ours was a year later, but still we were only allowed one support person. So we were able to have a doula. We had our doula.
So it was you, and so you had two people.
So it was me.
Kind of back to normal because it was two for me.
Right. It was me and a doula were able to be there. And there was still no visitation, but I think
no visitation after the baby.
No visitation after the baby, none of that.
Wow.
Yeah, so you had to spend the whole couple days by yourself there. But now I think they're back to no doula because Delta's coming up. I think like we had just made the cutoff on the other way. Like we had just made it on that way. So and in terms of vaccination, so when Bianca was having her baby, there was no vaccine.
Right.
Like there was no vaccine at the time.
So it
was
still making promises.
Yeah, so they were still figuring that out, and they had to go through.
When the vaccine came out, December, January.
Yeah, January, like somewhere around then.
Yeah.
Well, December.
It was December because I know people were saying they were happy it didn't happen pre-November because they would have thought it had something to do with the election.
Right. It was December. So with me, I got vaccinated because I didn't want any excuses for them to, keep me out the hospital.
So that played a role in
that played a role at the time when I got it. My lady, I did not want her to get vaccinated. Now to put it out there, I think the vaccine is an okay thing. I mean, I understand it's a personal decision. I don't have any issues with it.
I like okay.
Yeah.
Okay is honest.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's an okay thing. I've had conversations with people about why they wouldn't want to, right? And I understand if you feel like it's rushed, if you feel like maybe the science was rushed. I get that. I did research. I talked to medical professionals in terms of how this happens. Like I talked to, I actually talked to.
How does this process?
How does that process go? Like it's not like I read a Google article. I actually spoke to people who work in medicine, who work in medical research, and talked to
resource and access.
Right.
Again.
So I spoke to them how this they weren't working on it, but they told me how these processes go.
It's their job to keep
right. So. When I talked to them about it, I felt a lot more comfortable with getting the vaccine. I was like, okay, this makes sense because really essentially what they were doing, and this is secondhand information from, I'm not a medical professional, but
disclaimer.
Right. So
terms,
right.
With a little bit of right next to us on it.
Right. So basically what they were doing, they had already been working on, a formula for the COVID that pre-existed because the COVID is not new.
It's not a new thing.
It's not a new thing. So they were already working on that. And what they did was they stopped a lot of other research and brought in all these researchers to speed up the process. And, when they talk about expediting, it's not that they were expediting and cutting corners. They were just focused on that. They got all the funding they needed. They had all the researchers available, and they just expedited the process to come up with a vaccine that would
drop that one.
Right.
We all on
this. All hands on deck on this one, which is how it was done faster.
Right.
And it's something that they had already been looking at. It wasn't brand new. They had done a lot of testing with the previous COVID vaccine. So that's why it was faster, and that's why I was okay getting it. I did not want my pregnant girlfriend to get it. Because even with all that, we have no idea how it's going to affect a fetus or a baby or a child.
I don't think they still do.
We have no idea. It's new.
Have you ever gotten, prior to COVID, did you ever get like the flu shot or anything like that?
Like,
how do you feel about Western medicine? Like, how do you feel about it?
So, I mean, playing basketball, I got, I got shots. So it's not, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I think vaccines do work.
Yeah.
Now, you can be over-vaccinated as well. Like, I think
the term anti-vaxxer is unfair because it only applies to this one vaccine.
True. Well, no, because
the way the society is.
Because there's been people that have been.
Some people don't even let their children get
they don't want
HPA.
they don't want any vaccines.
What I'm saying is
right now, currently,
the way that is, and we was talking about media before.
Right.
The way that
now they're talking about this one thing.
The way it's being presented now is only about.
Yeah, if you're right, I get what you're saying.
Everybody always picked and chose with their kids within reason.
Right, within reasons, yeah. Certain school, you can't. Certain colleges, but there have been if you're in the dorms, you got to get one. There had been a growing sentiment that was in opposition to vaccines in general.
Absolutely.
Sure, absolutely. They were saying they cause autism and
they were saying a whole bunch of things that were.
And that's what I was just speaking about.
That if you do some of the research, like it will disprove that it's not connected to that.
So
now,
to your lady.
Right, to my lady. Now, in terms of I don't know still how it's going to affect kids. We don't know how COVID is going to affect kids. It's new.
We don't know how it's going to affect anybody.
We don't know how it's like in the long run. But it's like, especially because there's this idea that they're immune. Like there's for whatever reason, they're like, kids don't have, because they can't wear masks. I get it.
What I gather is all this shit is system based, which means if your system fucking accepts it a certain way, it's going to happen no matter your age.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you're older, you're more susceptible to certain shit.
Your system is weaker. You get.
But whatever it is,
but there are some children that
shit can fucking kill you.
Yeah, children can get it, and children
can kill you.
I'll tell you this: I'm not letting my kids.
You ain't gotta call it COVID because I hate niggas. Well, this is whatever it is, motherfuckers is dropping from.
Right.
I'm gonna just let my kids do the quarantine next time because I had them they've been back in school and they've had 2 scares where they were negative, but they had to have COVID tests, and it's so uncomfortable for them because
possible access.
Because contact because they were like a third whatever it was, but at this point I'm gonna just let them quarantine because for them they're so little and it's so painful for them to get tested and it's just so painful for them. So I'm just
I mean it's a different. I feel so bad for all the students, like all the kids, like
you're losing your childhood.
You're losing
you're losing a
lot of the milestones. You're losing a lot of the experiences that we all cherished and grew up on. Like I know like my boy's younger brother was in college and like he was playing basketball games in arenas and nobody's there. Like I can't like that's completely different than when I was there. Like
and just imagine, and that's what I was going to speak to. Like if you're a sibling, you always see. Oh well, I remember when my brother had his first birthday party. When I'm that age, I get to have a birthday.
You get to have
party.
that, yeah.
When I get there. Everybody gonna come watch me.
Kids missing their proms, kids missing their first dances.
I remember the whole world coming out for my sister prom.
Right.
So when my prom comes, the whole world will come shine on me, and then like this shit don't even happen.
It don't happen.
Motherfuckers was having proms in their driveway.
Right.
Drive-bys. Hey. Yeah. You ain't even going nowhere.
Yes. So I feel terrible for the experiences that a lot of the kids are having. But in terms of health, right? Like we don't know. Because, like you're saying, we don't know, like, this is a novel virus. We don't know how it's going to affect them in the long run if they get it. We don't know, and I don't know what a vaccine would do, What she did get her first shot after the baby was here because I feel like it's okay for her to have it. And they, based on everything I learned about breast milk, it will take out, so it won't pass on.
I had no idea how to ask that question, but I wanted to.
Yeah. So from what I've learned,
pass on?
It won't it'll pass on the antibodies,
but not
the actual virus because that's how So it's like if you were pregnant and you got sick, it doesn't make your baby sick.
Yeah.
You can still breastfeed and be sick, but what will happen? It will pass on the antibodies and then introduce their immune system to the necessary defense.
My baby I had a fever. I was sick when I was having my second son. I think I had the flu. I don't know, but I was sick and once he came out, like he was sick too. Like he had a fever and everything. Like
you were sick while you were pregnant?
The day in labor.
I was in
labor.
Yeah.
I was in labor for hours. Not hours. I stayed at work and I was just crazy. And I had a fever. They like, you should go to the hospital. I ain't go. But anyway, I had a high fever. Because I saw dope.
Well, yeah. See that if he was still there, y'all might. Y'all were still. Y'all were. That's symbiotic.
He was still inside of you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
About versus breastfeeding.
No, I'm talking about not even. I was talking about the other way.
Right. Oh yeah.
I was talking about the other way. Yeah,
that's why I didn't want her to get it before.
That's
because
what I'm saying.
I don't know. Like they were saying that, like so all the medical professionals will say that it's safe because like they were like it's okay for her to get it while she's pregnant. It won't. But I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We also
because they don't really know. They're saying it, but they don't know. How many times there's those commercials where you say if you took this during this year, like, dog, come on.
Well, so
Pens got them fucking
there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are new, and I don't mind. I understand people's apprehension. So I just feel like it's
teach his own. I just wish people would respect each other's choices. Because a lot of times it's like we talk about Demolition Man. It's like
I just want to know as far as when it comes to the process of having a kid during times and making those decisions.
It's definitely more difficult. You have decisions to make.
And one of the times where all you have.
What I will say is, in terms of general, the idea of vaccination, because like you were saying, the term anti-vaxxer has now become attached to this one idea, and that's not fair because people will get other vaccines, and their idea is that it was it's been tested. All right, so I'm gonna take a little step to the side real quick and give y'all because historically, right, in 1919, Spanish flu happened.
I just told somebody this. Go ahead.
Right. So, and that was like the first introduction to the flu that we now have, that we have a vaccine for, that people get the flu shot, all that kind of stuff. At the time, though, it was new and it was killing people, and it was a global pandemic, much like what we're having now.
Absolutely.
And the president ordered motherfuckers to take that shit.
Yep. And it's very.
It's like every 100 years. It's like
it's very similar.
Every 100 years something happens.
But when people's argument is that, well, we don't know it's new. It's like every vaccine was new. When polio was killing people and running around, that was a new idea.
All right, cool. Overall, probably safe. Is there still the possibility in a climate that we know where the medical system somehow thinks that black people are superheroes and our women are getting mistreated within trying to have children? Is there a possibility that we might get a different serum than a different hospital? You know what I'm saying?
And this is what I understand with black people, right? Like it's
that shit is one of those things that it's like, all right, it's cool for y'all. Can I come take it up there with y'all?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying because when you look at the history of medicine, and especially in this country with black people, it's like gynecology was created around the abuse of black women.
Man, I couldn't even put in a word. Thank you.
The Tuskegee experiment where they tested syphilis and would not give them a treatment and wouldn't allow them to be treated because they wanted to see what would happen.
Actually, black doctors that were working with that too.
Man, I've seen blankets and all type of shit through history.
But the thing is, this country has conspired against black people. On every front, and medicine is not excluded.
Since the moment we stepped foot on here,
it's never been. Yeah.
Even in Africa, them motherfuckers said we did this shit. We fucked up.
Right.
My bad.
And then,
if they would do that, then that would build trust. Y'all are still denying. Y'all still creating systems to deny shit that we know happened.
Right.
Yeah.
We still had the artifacts. We still had the genealogy. We had the books.
So what I would say though is, and what I put this on Facebook. Actually, I made this metaphor to people. If you were on a plane and you were experiencing a lot of turbulence, and you see the captain come back and put on a parachute, you see all the staff put on a parachute. Would you? And they say it's optional for you to put on a parachute.
I'm putting a parachute on.
Right.
Because the people that know what's going on got parachutes on.
The confusion is coming through. We take it back to the vaccine.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because the people in power are the ones bucking. And it's split, and it's split based on shit that has nothing to.
Well, here's what's interesting about that. Here's what's interesting about that. The people that are saying you don't have to get the vaccine, you shouldn't have to wear a mask, they are doing those things. Like there's a lot of them that I'm talking about politicians.
Okay.
I'm talking about leadership, not individuals. There's a lot of individuals who say that and aren't doing it, and maybe they have a big following online. But I'm talking about the people with the access to the knowledge and the access to the people who are.
Did y'all see that video when that young man said, "I think we should wear a mask in school I just lost my grandma because she was a school teacher and somebody came into contact with her and gave her COVID, and them grown ass people laughed at her.
I didn't see that.
It's a bunch of people, white, sitting behind her with signs that say, "Let our children smile."
You know what's going? It really irks me when white people are trying to.
At a teenager that's saying, "My grandmother died from this. I just want us to be precautious." They laughed at that, bro.
Yeah.
And it started an uproar. Like, it wasn't just a chuckle and then it was over. It was like they had to call motherfuckers to order and say, "What are y'all doing to this child?"
Yeah, people are crazy, man. It irks me to I can't even explain it. When white people are trying to compare this to slavery or
freedom,
or to
in general, any form of freedom,
any form of freedom a freedom fight or struggle, like it's not. This is none of that.
That got to do with freedom. Don't talk about it.
Wearing a mask in a store, wearing a mask in the store is not a fight on your rights, you know. And no one is forcing you as of now to get the vaccine to live. Like, it's not like.
And there's nations of people that have been wearing masks in public for years.
Right.
For the same fucking reason. The same reason Michael was wearing a mask.
Right.
Because he was going over there.
Yeah, they say he was crazy.
I wish Mike was here right now.
Amongst these millions, you ain't never had to perform in front of a million people coughing, yelling, and screaming, and spitting on each other. Mike knew I might could take something back to the U.S. besides fruit that could fuck shit up.
Right. Yeah, so you know he was ahead of the time. Well, I mean, they've been doing that in a lot of the Asian countries because, especially the Asian cities,
because the marketplace is so random.
Well, it's so you know, it's so overcrowded.
Yeah.
Overcrowding, like in cities that they have that many people.
Random, like these people come from all over the place to the same marketplace for a unified. We don't know. It's the same reason you're not allowed to ship certain places.
Right. Yeah. But you know, this idea that there's an American idea that's about freedom that is attached to stuff that makes no sense, and it's destroying everything.
Well, it's out of convenience.
Right.
Like, if it was like you said, it's not attached to anything. When we talk about the things that we're still fighting for, it's just like you spoke to earlier with the Italians and the Irish when they got here. These motherfuckers didn't have those options, so they created other options. They had to do other things and became vilified for those things. We're still in the middle of being vilified for those things and not getting any atonement, acknowledgement, or any slowdown.
Well, you know, it's funny because people talk about reparations all the time and like repairing the damage that was done.
I think,
but they're still damaging us.
But that's the thing. Well, see, no, that's the thing. Acknowledgement, like from high up, changes all of that.
You think so?
Yes, because once you acknowledge it, then you have to deal with it. The way things are set up right now, you can't do anything directly for descendants of Africans in legislature. It has to say rural area, urban community, whatever the fuck. It can't just be for us. That's why they say rising tides lift ships. In a lot of ways they do, because the shit that we got through the civil rights movement made a lot of shit for other people that wasn't us.
Well,
you see what I'm saying? So everything has to be that way.
I know what you're saying. So they haven't recognized us. Yeah,
so when you say reparations, there is no reparations without acknowledgement anyway.
Right.
Yeah, for
sure. So even if they don't give you anything back, no laws change, no situations change. The mindset of most of the people in this country that think that motherfuckers is just running around complaining because they got teeth.
Right.
Because you gotta realize how many motherfuckers is ready to die over these statues that's getting fucking torn out the ground. Some of which wasn't even fucking cleared or paid for by the state, or the city. These was people's families that said this nigga was the illest murderer we ever had, and we paying to put him up.
I understand that,
and that shit sits across from City Hall.
Only thing I'm talking about is yes, you can't do reparations. You can't repair it without recognizing and acknowledging what it is. But my problem is they're still currently actively doing these things.
But once you acknowledge it, then you can't do it no more.
They still gonna do it.
No, you can. No, in certain instances. But when you talk about, like, we talking about police departments right now, we talking about things in the court and with judges and shit like that within the system. A lot of things are changing because of what's happened in the last year. Now they're going both ways. You have certain places
Right.
where motherfuckers is putting their foot down and trying to take it back to slave days.
Right.
Then you have other places where my man Philando Castile got killed at. They just
Right.
passed the
Was it
shit.
Minneapolis?
Mhm.
They just passed the shit
No,
that
wasn't it
said
Minneapolis?
No, it was Washington.
Minneapolis.
Was it Minneapolis?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
If it's not, excuse me.
You know, I'm gonna check it.
But they
I'm gonna check
passed
it.
it yesterday. Look it up.
So they are passing
same prosecutor
right.
that couldn't get the cops prosecuted for the same judge that couldn't get the cops prosecuted for his case. He put legislation in that they will no longer try federal offenses for minor traffic violations.
Minneapolis.
Okay.
They will no longer try federal
I was thinking
offenses.
of Elijah McClain.
Listen to what I'm telling you.
Mhm.
They will no longer try federal offenses for minor traffic violations.
Right.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
When they
That-
say 50% of the people pulled over in this county is black and only 8% of the county is black,
Right.
that means that they pulling you over, rolling the dice, hoping to throw whatever they can on you to roof you, and
Yeah.
the judges will prosecute you. Now they saying, even if they do that to you, we ain't even talking about what they found. Why the fuck did you pull him over?
Right. Well, so that brings me back
That's
to
going to happen.
that brings me back to the organization I started. It's called Collab, Citizens Organization for a Local Legislative Agenda for the Black Community is what Collab stands for. And part of the reason we started it, right, is because I don't think nobody else is gonna fix this stuff. Like you'll have we have to.
I won't leave it to nobody else to fix
right.
it. I'm not
And,
like
like
that.
historically, we've been waiting and we've been marching and asking people to do it. I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
Not their job.
Like if I look at the history of the country, they're just not gonna do it. Like they'll hear it, they'll say, "Yeah, we hear you."
What's the
we
incentive in
understand.
it?
There's no incentive. There's no reason to change the status quo.
Why give up power?
Right, no one gives up power. No
Willingly.
one, never, ever willingly. So you have to take power. So in order to do that, right, we have to get involved with it. But the problem is, black people are so disenfranchised and so disenchanted with government and the country as a whole that we don't participate. We don't even take part. Like we don't do it
Do
on
you
a
agree or disagree with this philosophy? There's never a way you're gonna get everybody brown on the same court.
don't need everybody.
So when you say tribe, we gotta go back to the original sense of the tribe. We gotta go back to the community and the like-minded motherfuckers and start there and go out and let others do the same thing with theirs.
Right.
We're never going to get. We are not a monolith.
No, we're not.
We're never
No. We're never gonna get every.
everybody,
But
and
we
I
don't
think
have.
that we overshoot a lot of times.
Right,
and
I
that's where
agree.
we fail at.
So that's why we're starting local.
See what I'm saying?
Like you start in a town like in New Jersey.
Block
We have
by
all these.
block, whatever.
We have all these townships.
Community.
You start in one township, and you empower the black community there to get involved, to run for office. You give them resources and you give them the ability to see the impact they could possibly have.
And that's not monolithic because they get to do it their way.
Yeah, you just empower that community, and if you can do that in multiple communities, then you can create a block. Then you have power. So that was essentially the idea, because no one's gonna vote for the things. No one's interested in the things we're interested in. They don't even celebrate. Like, so the township we're working in Merchantville, they don't celebrate Black History Month. They don't have they have like multicultural events, but they just started putting this stuff together. They just started a diversity and equity initiative, and
so we can imagine what level that.
And it's not that I don't think it's a bad township. They just, the black people that were there weren't participating. They didn't feel included, which we often don't. We don't end up. We're not going to go to a day to talk to police officers. We're not doing that. Like, it's like, hey, meet your local police officer. Black people ain't going.
Every time I've had one of my lawyer homies on here, he said, we need more of us to be on juries.
Yeah,
Niggas
we don't.
Gotta stop ducking jury.
Gotta do
so
jury
that
duty.
somebody can get a jury of their peers for real.
Yeah, because we can't. We don't have any peers.
No balance in the jury.
The school board there is all white.
That's the same.
Yeah, it's the same idea. We have to, like, we complain about stuff because, and rightfully so, it is messed up. But we don't. But you have to be involved in it to fix it.
And the whole thing, like, you got to figure out your part to play.
Right.
And that's the thing. I don't like, and I don't know if this is a thing that you recognize. A lot of times when things go on, and I know you've seen it, people say nobody gives a fuck until it's them. And it's like, no, there's people that gives a fuck every day.
Right, there are.
So
yeah.
you're lazy because at the end of the day, there is a part that you don't have to frontline nothing. You
Right.
ain't gotta be the guy. You don't have to be known for your efforts or your attributes.
Right.
You can send a couple dollars some way. You can
Right.
drop off waters, granola bars. You can put a little sweat equity in behind the
Mhm.
scenes. All of that matters
Yeah.
because we need everything.
Right.
So you don't have to agree with my purpose. Find somebody that supports your purpose, but support them
Right.
before you start
here's
telling what motherfuckers ain't doing.
Here's what one of the things that I feel like has happened is we just got tired. Like black people are like, why? No. Listen, I understand.
No,
there's not.
we can't be that way.
We can't be that way.
It's just
but
now
it
our
has,
turn.
It's yes,
It's
but
our turn. Every
but it
generation
has
before us had to do it.
Yeah, we
The
had to.
babies did it before we did it.
We had
bro.
to do it. But when you talk to our generation about this, which I do a lot,
But
they're
you're
like,
talking about mental burnout.
yes.
We still got sweat equity we ain't give yet.
No. I 1000% agree.
In our generation.
Our generation for sure.
I 1000%
The
agree.
youngins jumped over us to do it first. You see what happened in Baltimore?
That's what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
Like you seen it.
So you see like the young kids that be dominating TikTok. They're doing our
terrorizing.
generation. We're out here like,
Good
man.
way. They getting into good trouble.
Yeah, they're getting in. They're doing what needs to be done. But a lot of times, our generation is like, man, and our generation, honestly,
We went through a lot.
We went through a lot.
We inherited the crack fucking era.
We had so
It was a
much
lot.
going on.
We had a new version,
But
because that's a new version of slavery.
There's no excuse
But
to
there was
that.
still another
We
level
still
of
have to
slavery
work.
Yeah.
We still have to do the work. Like there's work to be done, and we still have to do the work. And I can't accept that. Oh, like it's just what's it going to change? Like, oh, they already tried that.
Everybody got a part to play.
Right, you gotta
Harry
keep-
Belafonte has been sponsoring shit for damn near 100 years.
Right. Right. So I
That
think
man
that
could have had a house on a palace on the hill by now. You know what he been doing? Making sure motherfuckers
Funny
get
enough,
out
he
of
did.
jail. I mean, but you know what I'm talking about.
No. Well, I only brought that up because he actually tried to start a community for like affluent black people.
He did.
And
that was a palace.
It wasn't really a palace. It was on a lake. It was nice.
It was a compound.
Yeah, it was a compound. And
Which is heavy.
but the white people ran down and said, nah.
I thought because I knew he had a compound.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But yeah.
And I mean, but that's still the same thing. It's still very similar as far as what it take to do that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is like Harry Belafonte. We talk about everybody he helped. Most people don't even know that he was
they don't
the
know.
backbone of eras of that shit.
Yeah,
he never asked for that.
He funded
And he's still
a lot of
doing
the
things
civil
right
rights stuff. Like he bailed a lot
He
of them
got
out of
things
jail.
going on right now.
Yeah,
right now.
there's a lot of people that
He part of the Until Freedom.
there's always people that are putting in the work. There's always going to be people that are putting in the work, and if you don't have the time or that's not really your main interest, you can still be a part of it, like you said, by supporting somebody that is doing the work and helping them.
Yeah.
Like if you think that it's important to empower a local black community, go to the collab website. Shoot us a couple dollars because we're a nonprofit. We're doing it from the muscle. So, but there's a whole bunch of people that are doing it. So if it's not us, do it for somebody else. But you have to get involved in some way, or it's never going to change. All those things that you're. And the other thing people don't understand about politics, like I hate when people say I don't want to get political. Everything is political, though. Like from the water you drink. Like you look at Flint, Michigan, or you look at parts of New Jersey where the water's bad. Look at where that happens.
Our communities.
It's our communities, and part of the reason is
what?
because we don't have any political power. We can't go and say
you're
not. Yeah, you're not putting these pipes here. You're not doing this here.
Or you're going to update.
Somebody's getting paid to make sure y'all get bad water.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm telling you. Somebody is getting paid extra. They get a bonus to make sure y'all never get good water on a watch.
And a lot of times, what people don't understand,
that's a real thing. There's not no conspiracy.
Yeah, it's not a conspiracy. That's the nature of politics.
Directly or indirectly,
they have to do. They have to, like, these companies that are these big corporations are going to do dumps. Where are they going to do them? They're going to do them in the cheapest and most convenient place. So they're not going to take it to where they should take it if they're worried about human lives, because they're not concerned about that. They're going to do it where it's the cheapest.
It's the liquor store theory. You can't go in their neighborhood and put a liquor store in every corner.
Right.
So what neighborhood can you do that in?
You have to own. You have to. You'd have to have ownership of where you live. You'd have to have political power where you live, and you have to know what's going on.
Yep.
So, everything you do from your education to the water you drink to the how your streets are are taken care of, to, you know, how the trash is picked up. All of that is, those are all political decisions. Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, it's not always like national Democratic Republican debates on CNN to see. It's how you actually live. Like, if you're bothered by the amount of trash you see on your street, if you're bothered by the lack of parking that's available, if you or you want more parking to be available, any of those things, those are political decisions.
Yeah.
Everything that you complain about.
That's not the people. That's not the thing people aren't educated about either, though.
Right.
But that's another thing that people aren't educated about. They need to know how to, like, again, with every problem, there should be a resolution.
And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about black education about politics and our empowerment. We don't understand that in a lot of these like counties and districts where there's black people, if they voted one way or the other, that would tilt. White people are 50-50 on everything. Like, everything I don't know how they're like almost always 50-50. So if you add in a minority group, the
deciding vote is always a minority group.
Right, it's always going to be a minority group. So so we have massive political power that we just aren't activating yet, because
I agree with that.
Well, I think the mental burnout that you spoke to is part of it, and I also think, like we've been saying, resources, access, knowledge, like. Motherfuckers have just started recently telling our community, yo, your local vote really counts on a regular basis. Like, this is a fairly new thing that you hear regularly in the community. And then you have the proof of things that's happened in recent times, like Georgia.
Right.
You know what I mean? And things like that,
with Georgia.
Which shows it.
Right.
And empowers. And
or even the whole, even in Philly. The whole national election was decided by black people. Because even with a president as vile, right?
They went crazy over Philly. They like, Philly ain't checked in yet.
Well, yeah, because it was a lot of mail-in votes.
A large part of Pittsburgh.
But even with in a situation where we had seen,
they were even threatening. I'm sorry to cut you off. They were threatening when they were counting the votes. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Like, it was crazy.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
white people 50-50 would be like, even though I'm not super pro, but I was a Bernie guy. Just I'll put it out there.
Yeah,
like,
I gotta feel the Burn joint.
At the Bernie rally in 2016, we was out there performing. Like, I rock with Bernie 100%. That's my guy. I'm not the biggest Biden fan, but to me, there's you couldn't vote Trump. Like, it was just too much wrong. Even the way he handled the pandemic. And even with all that, white people were 50-50. It came down to black people's votes. And that happens all the time in
black
local
women made a lot of things happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
people and
I had to say
black
that
people,
real quick.
Black men get mad at me all the time because I'm like, yo, women are out here moving stuff and we out here not doing our job.
Yeah,
we're not doing our job as black men. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about generally. Just so you know.
I don't take that personal.
I just want to make sure. Right.
I'm solid.
But we don't be doing our job, man. Like, there's so many black women that are in these positions that are shaking things up and making their voice heard, and we
Tamika Mallory, shout out to her.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of
them, but I was just reading something about her.
Guess what I do? I watch, I follow, and I try to create more opportunities for
as you should.
Absolutely.
Why you think we got fly girls?
And that's the whole reason, the purpose for On the Scene magazine, again, is to have that platform where we have that positive and, resource and access.
And
if it doesn't give you, hold on, like we were saying, no, I just want to say, for me, like, I know you mentioned this earlier in the interview, that for me, in regards to our purpose, like, if it doesn't offer someone, again, some resource, some access, some encouragement, some education, some motivation, we're not publishing it.
Right.
And it's just not going to happen. So
right, because you have to balance it out, man. I always say there's like, people used to ask us when we had the Peyote Visions group, people used to always ask us, like, yo, how do y'all feel about these negative rappers? I'm like, I don't really, like, if there's some of the music's dope, like, I want to, you can bop to some it don't matter what they saying. The problem is there's no balance.
I don't like the term negative rapper.
Right. Like, I'm like, what is that? Like,
somebody speaking their truth. And anything you know about any artist and musician, man, if they successful, they employ 8 to fucking 150 people.
Right.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have
a job, right? Or wouldn't have that job, right? Yeah.
Of access, success, and all of that type of shit. And success is subjective, but it's a real thing when it comes to finances and realizing that you can go on fucking vacation sometime.
Right.
You know what I mean?
People feel like if it's not quote unquote conscious rap or positive rap,
then it's negative.
Like, I'm not listening.
Like that.
I'm not listening.
But one thing I want to get on, because we gonna have to wrap this soon.
Go ahead.
But what I was going to present to you is, even with this platform. Mm-hmm. Originally, when I thought of SippinWitSammie was years before I knew that we could do it independently. I was doing it through a local internet station that wanted to do business with me. They said that if I wanted a show, I could do it remotely.
Right.
So I said, oh shit, I ain't gotta be there every week.
Right.
I could just bounce around from bar to bar and talk to people. And I had a male co-host, male videographer, all of that shit. And they were brothers, and salute to them, still love them. But the co-host was a comedian and a school teacher. Which is why I don't want to say his name.
Right.
I love to shout him out, but I don't want to do that.
Right.
But he got the opportunity to be a school principal.
Okay. Right.
You ain't got time for this, bro.
Yeah.
So at the time, it kind of like, little pause on it. Because now his brother started getting bigger opportunities as a videographer and director. And he's a principal. It's like, you know what? I don't even have I won't be able to do it regularly like I need to. And I need another co-host.
Right.
The first person I thought of was a female.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the second person I thought of was another female.
Right.
But I always knew, like, if I ain't going to have a guy there for comedic relief, then I need a woman that's going to balance.
Right.
Because I go hard.
Yeah. I feel like...
You trying to say I'm soft? It's like,
no, you go as hard as I go. And you also...
It's a necessary perspective, right?
You also understand that I'm not shooting from, like, trying to be that kind of way.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Man, I'm looking forward to the next generation of black people, black relationships, black love. Yeah. I feel like it's coming. I feel like I'm hoping that we're starting to heal some of the wounds of communication that have been divided. Like, there's been, not to say that we haven't been partnering, but there's, at least publicly, like in the media, there's always like this division.
You right.
Where we're forced to be in conflict and confronting each other in ways that I don't necessarily think are beneficial. But I'm hoping that those wounds are being healed, because as we come together and the community becomes stronger, as we provide each other with opportunities to succeed and uplift, and especially men, we have to gotta uplift women more.
I've always had women in my business
and each other, but as black men, it's important to empower the black women around you.
Listen,
and give them a chance to have a voice, give them a chance to speak their truth and back them up and let them know that you're there. It's really important for us to do that. But I see that happening, it's starting to happen. So I'm really excited about that. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to.
One of the other aspects of our relationship is when she decided when I was encouraging her and she started transitioning into starting on the Scene magazine, I told her, listen, I work for you. Whatever the position, whatever you think I could fill, even if I gotta take classes or some shit, I'm gonna figure that shit out for you.
Right.
So I couldn't go and say, well, I said I was going to back your place, so you got to back mine.
Right.
So I kind of like swindled her into being on here.
It's not kind of.
I told her to come through for an episode, and the next day she called me like, yo, that was so fun. We should do it again. I'm like, nigga, this your show.
Right. I hate her, yo.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, right. I'm that real with it. Like, I'm not going to tell you to just run and whatever.
Right.
If you saying that I would be valuable to you, or you saying that you fuck with me on that level, and we can figure this out together.
Right.
I'm not going to push my way into your situation.
Right.
I never wanted to have a fucking magazine.
Right.
But I believe you deserve one.
Right.
And
if I can help, I can help.
I got some energy that could go to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got things on my plate, but at the same time, a couple classes ain't never hurt nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who knows what I could gain from that personally, just in efforts to support her.
Right.
Yeah, learning stuff was always going to be beneficial.
That's
it's always good to add.
So when you talk about empowering them, like, I'll go the whole fucking mile.
Right.
When you talk about Font Productions, this is a real thing. She said on 100th episode, she never picked up a camera before.
Right.
SippinWitSammie. She done Philly Hip Hop Awards,
right?
Virtual concerts when Versus was still figuring out how to get their thing down. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
You just got to do stuff, man. You got to empower the people and let people learn. I think, at least for me, right? A lot of times I want to come into things with like finished products and finished ideas and have it as polished as possible. And but you skip the work. Like, you can't skip the work. You got to start where you are and get started there. Like, even if it's not, your magazine's not where you want it to be, or you never picked up a camera, pick up the camera, start it, do it.
Yeah.
And
that was his verse. Just do it.
Just do it, and you know you'll figure it out. Like you know it'll
quality and consistency of work.
Right.
Is the key to any grind, any hustle, anything that you're trying to do.
Right.
And motherfuckers that had less knowledge, less resources, and less access have figured it out.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing that you have to be at a super brain or elite for, I'm never going to count me or my people out of being able to figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
I might not be able to edit something as great as you, but me and my man taught ourselves Pro Tools before. I figured the programs are similar. If I sit down,
there's so many resources, right? There's so many resources.
I could go to YouTube video.
Go to YouTube, man. YouTube University.
And he'll tell me the part I don't know.
Right. YouTube University. Like if you're trying to edit something, especially something like that, where it's like, yo, how do you do this? That you have so more resources, resources than ever to learn that kind of stuff.
That's true.
But like real shit, like I never count myself out of things, even when it was athletics.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, bro, if he
you
can
know why you
out.
said that. You know, like everyone. A lot of times people think that I learned a lot of stuff. Not to say I didn't learn stuff in film school, but the biggest thing I got out of film school was having a community of other creatives who were interested in the same thing. It wasn't necessarily learning how to do it. Like I still had to teach myself how to do it. I still had to do it. Like, you know, no one taught me my editing process. I taught myself that.
But these conversations is different. The engagement is different. The competition is different.
Right. So yeah, what's different in film schools. Like I did have access to different tools that would have been, you know, expensive for me to get. Now at this point, I think it might be even cheaper to just buy yourself some tools and then learn how to use them.
Mm-hmm. Now they got this shit where you can pay for shit on 4 installments.
Right.
You could get a month worth of gigs and just pay for this.
Right. You could pay for it. So I think it's a little bit different now. But what I couldn't have learned, right, was getting to talk to people who have done films, put films in film festivals, having that access of working with other people who are interested in that and building those relationships. Like the relationships is what was valuable, but you know, I was playing basketball, so it wasn't super expensive. But for those kids, like that's wild expensive. Like them student loans was wild expensive, and I don't know if that was necessarily worth it. But yeah, you still have to teach yourself. Like just because you go to a school, that don't mean you automatically know more. Right. Like I know a whole bunch of people who do videos who never went to school, and their videos are fire. They have their own style. Because
you learn differently too hands on than you would from a textbook.
You have to do it.
Somebody else, as you like the trial and error. You know, like what not to do, what to do.
You could go to a basketball practice and watch it all day. That's not what practice is. Practice is doing it.
Absolutely.
You have to do it. Like you have to actually physically, learn the mechanics of how to shoot. You have to do it 1,000 times.
Yep.
Like a day, 1,000 times a day before you become a proficient shooter.
You have to have to be elite. You have to have an understanding that same motherfucker you cooked yesterday,
he's gonna be back at it.
He could have had a dream last night,
right,
and cook you tomorrow.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to know, like, yo, it's always an ever-evolving thing that I have to keep growing.
Yeah, you got to keep growing.
Because this shit is what it is. And once I find my thing, I have to dig into that and make that great.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because even with directing, colorization, when you do photos or whatever, and however y'all do your thing, everybody has their look to their photos.
Yeah.
That's something that you learn. Fuck with. They like, no, this is how I do all my joints and they won't tell you what they put
specifically
on it.
Right.
But that's their thing. Or you can notice it. But like, once you find that, you blow that up.
Right.
You make that brighter.
Yeah.
You make that brighter. And that's where you carve your part out in history.
Right. Finding your lane, finding your space. Like that's the key to success right now. In almost every field, whether it's video,
everybody has
music,
access.
Yeah, because so I'm convinced, right, like that in the next
wrap this up soon.
In the next few years, there's not going to be as many like global superstars. It's going to be like less really big stars, but a lot of like niche stars.
Right.
It's going to be because like the pieces of the pie will get smaller, and we're starting to you're starting to see that as everyone creates their own playlist.
That might balance music out.
Well, it is. I think it's gonna balance it out a little bit. Like people will get there, so you won't have the massive success, but you'll have a lot of people that can sustain their lives and make a career off of music or whatever it is their artist. That
with more personal ownership, massive success will become less important. You'll make the same amount of money selling
Yep.
out 10,000 as you would have for 100,000.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I was
But I'm
thinking
talking about like name recognition, right? Like so, like now,
Household names.
yeah, like so, you know, the level of celebrity that can't go to a grocery store, can't walk down the street, you won't
Yeah.
see that.
But what
like
we're finding out is they don't want that part.
they don't. Yeah, you don't really want that
They
anyway.
They
which is
shy away from that part.
right.
These are people that are just great at what they do. They are not the person 9 times out of 10 that was just lit when they walked in the room or in the hallway.
Right. Like
You know what I'm saying?
I can name like mad artists who have had Grammy nominations, who are killing it. They're getting millions of streams a month,
Bro,
and people,
to you earlier.
but people
Yeah.
won't know them if they
Won't
saw
have
them.
no idea.
If they saw them in the street,
Exactly.
like they
No
wouldn't know who
idea.
they are. So like
true.
you know,
Probably see them every day at the fucking deli in the
Right.
morning getting coffee.
right? So that you know, that I think is going to be the norm, and I think that's a good thing.
I think that's a new thing I like about our generation too.
Right.
Whether you traveling or whether you in the city, that guy with the book bag on
Mhm.
and the hat on, he's probably a millionaire.
Mhm.
You don't even. It ain't about briefcases and all
Right.
that no more. And your car waiting outside.
Well, a lot of
motherfuckers
things-
is hopping on the scooters on
Yeah.
the way to big deals.
Well, here's something. And I know we gotta wrap it up, so I'm not gonna go too far in this. But here's something that we had touched on earlier, like about speeding things up, about the acceleration.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to say something.
Like,
Go ahead.
Remote people are going to be working from remote. Like there's not going to be none of that. The people aren't going to, you know. I think people are going to be changing how city life is. The idea of what success looks like is going to be different. Everything's
Shifting.
everything's going to and that was going to happen anyway. But COVID is just
Accelerated.
accelerating. Yep.
It's funny you said that because he always calls me. He says I have an amazing like mental recapture or callback. Yeah. Because that's what I was going to say. So we were talking about this really early in the interview, but we were saying that you said that the beginning of the pandemic or the pandemic itself made people slow down,
Mhm.
right? But I think that as much as people slow down, individually you had to slow down, but generally everything sped up.
Yeah, sped up.
Socially.
Everything else sped
Well,
up.
the
Yeah, but everything else
social
sped up.
engineering that we were used to that was taking course like in terms of how we do our jobs, how we travel, traverse.
fucking
And
cities.
so examples I want to use is how we handle
I hate the
business, how
treadmill.
we have our meetings. So I was thinking about like even when you were saying I'm a notary now, on a scene notary, holla at me.
That
But yeah, so I want to mention that because initially, at first I was upset that it took me a little longer because typically you get sworn in on one day and
Right.
everything happens in one day. But I did it virtually.
Right.
But I was thankful actually that I was able to do it virtually. Now I'm a loan signing agent as well. There are
Right.
virtual closings.
Mhm.
It's so many things that you can do. So as much as we had to slow down
Running
individually,
around, having to
Right.
Be somewhere.
I'm able to sit down and make my money from home,
From home, right?
rather than having.
But what
to
that's
do so
going to do,
much.
right, is that's going to change the way people look at their work properties. Like you're not going to need as much office space. You're not going to need as much
Absolutely.
office
Oh no,
buildings.
the big companies have noticed. They
Oh,
got
yeah.
more production out of motherfuckers at home.
Oh, yeah.
Just like when they never said it, but when the companies that allowed their employees access to Facebook
Mhm.
was actually more productive.
Yeah.
By like 15%.
Because people not sneaking on their phone.
Right.
They're gonna
on average.
toggle the
Right.
screen,
Some
click it
shit
real
like
quick, and
that.
go right back,
Like not
rather than be lost in their
15%
phone.
of them, but
Right.
like 15% better.
Better, yeah.
on
Yeah.
average.
You know why? Because look how much time it's going to take you. If I'm at my phone and I'm not even engaged and I'm distracted, that's longer. But if I can just switch the screen and go and see my alert that comes up when I get that email
Right.
or I get that inbox, like whatever
and
it
it's
is.
a mental thing.
different.
The same reason that these new big companies give you napping pods and fucking
Right, but
basketball
instead of
courts
doing all
and
that, they
shit.
could just let you work from
They
home. But
coulda
what
let
that's
you
gonna,
be free
but what that's gonna
to
do
be in your own
is
time.
change how people want to design their homes. Now you're gonna need a space to work and a place to like you're gonna have to separate. So people are gonna look for more space. So you know,
Which I was getting to, the space is getting smaller too.
yeah. So like
I didn't know he was going there. My bad. Go ahead.
No,
I was
because
thinking about that.
because like when you look at how everything's designed, right? I think people are going to be leaving cities and going to more rural spaces where they have more room.
You seen LA and fucking New York got their ass whooped.
Oh yeah, because one,
Motherfuckers like up time.
if you got
First of all, look at the cost of living here though.
cost of living's
But that's
high,
the
and if
thing.
you have to socially distance from people to be safe,
and a social place, like
Yeah,
they're
and
very
a
highly
city-
part
social
of the
areas.
reason that you paying to be there is for the social part.
That's what I'm
of it.
saying.
right,
Whether that's the nightlife or the business engagement
right,
that you can acquire there. Once everything goes to Zoom,
right.
why
are
am I
there?
paying extra $1,200 per bedroom?
Right.
Like,
If the bars have the bars aren't packed and you can't go to like why are you paying all that rent, like because that's what you're paying for really is access to other people, access to society.
being elite.
Exactly.
and being elite,
Right,
Nobody
so-
gives a fuck.
I think that, you know, a lot of those things are going to change. These are just predictions I'm thinking, but I think that was going to happen anyway. Things are going to accelerate, and like you said, COVID just accelerated all that. So, you know, there's a lot of changes on the horizon.
I just want a flying car, and I realized.
I feel you on that, bro.
It's absolutely coming. I can't wait till we laugh about it.
Give all you niggas power to be pilots. So
I thought about that too. That would be a catastrophe.
You motherfuckers all the accidents that happen in the air.
Y'all be flying Cadillacs in the motherfuckers' bedrooms, crashing their house up. Like,
I used to feel like that was a good idea, but that's but they are going to do it. You seen the hovercraft?
Just imagine a nigga with beef. Right through your. No, we ain't doing that.
Yeah, but then he got to fall and drop.
Listen, kamikazes is not a new cop.
True indeed, but my op is not that deep.
That is not only one culture.
Listen, let me tell you, it's not that deep for
There's
me.
a lot of crash dummies out here, literally.
People be wilding.
They chasing wreck in these streets. But
As I look
I
down, I see K Flintstones. I'm like, I see feet out. Is you talking about like kamikazes and we talking about the Jetsons? I see the Flintstones. I'm like, she got her feet out. Not in a bad way. I never see K toes out.
Ooh, okay, all right.
And she
I'll leave that up to y'all.
Some other flip flops on.
Sounds like different. A female thing. We've had a great time, man. I had a ball with y'all.
It's all in love.
Clearly, we gonna have to talk.
We have to do it again, man. There's so much we gotta talk about. Like, you know, I didn't get to mention I'm doing this new mini project, Black Magic Minutes. It's gonna be
nice.
Coming out soon. I wanted to mention that. It's the first time I'm announcing it.
And what is Black Magic Minutes?
I was about to say, I don't know. Like, yeah.
Black Magic Minutes is my next musical project I'm gonna be putting out with
Black Magic Minutes.
Yep. It's gonna be everything's gonna be under 2 minutes, and it's gonna be a visual attached to all the projects.
I like it.
So it's something real quick to digest.
Like, it reminds me of Eli Lilly. They had something similar to that, and I love those type of projects.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
Eli Lou, they're two twins.
Right.
We got an episode with them.
Yeah.
So, you know, we be talking to all the great.
You be talking to everybody.
I like that type of concept because I think that real quick, I think that people's attention spans have shortened.
Right.
So I think that you're doing well with that.
And you know, it's something I want to do before I put the whole Voodoo Man project out, because I feel like everything had ramped up and I was ready to put it out, and then you know, so now I gotta build it back up, and also it changed a lot. You know, just being a dad, like. It changed my perspective on things, and there's some things I want to talk about that.
Again,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Man. I love to see it.
Man, you know, we have a real tribe over there, like, so it's beautiful to see. It's not something that I actively thought about, but I guess it's something that I always had kind of wanted to do, like, you know, have a build like a village. So like, I don't know if you know, but we all live in the same big house.
Oh, nice.
Like a huge house. So my sister there,
but that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sister there, brother-in-law there, my girls there.
They get the best pictures all the time with family.
Well,
that makes sense.
Yeah, you know, my parents are there, like, so we got, you know, but what happens is, right, like when they're grandbabies, they get to watch them, they get to see them grow. We have built-in babysitters. We got the studios there, like so everything's in house. Like, we've been doing this in house for a while. So we're actually trying to.
Do your parents still dabble in the music? Does your dad still?
Oh yeah, my dad's in the studio more than I am.
Really?
Yo, he don't stop.
How do they feel about you and Bianca's music on average?
Oh they love it. You know, they love our music. My mom still be crying at her shows, like, even though she's been to them 1,000 times.
Dope.
You know, so they still rock
beautiful.
with us.
No, that's dope. Man.
Like right now today, my sister has a show today. My mom went to AC with her to watch Astro. So you know, we built a real village. And
that's the name from the Jetsons,
right? Yeah.
Astro has always been a dope name.
I love
my
that
son.
name.
So
it's so cute. What's your son's name again?
My son's name is Kyle. Like Superman, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we built a real village, and we want to expand. You know, I think it's important for us to, you know, we always talk about community, but you can start the community with your family. You know, I think
it is. That's where it starts.
Yeah, you have to support each other in as many ways as you can. And I think a lot of time, and again, speaking about the future, it's going to make more sense to have larger homes with more space, with more people that you care about.
Actually care about, absolutely.
To build your village, and I think, you know, we're doing that, and it's been working. It works, you know, it works on every level for us.
It does. I have a similar home life, so I understand completely.
Right. I think I mentioned that because I feel like a lot of times, I think a lot of people are, especially from our generation, are doing that, but they don't talk about it. I feel like there's some kind of stigma.
There's
attached to it.
a lot of statistics that support it too.
Right.
No, what happens is we're from the generation where our mothers were struggling
Mm-hmm.
and was fighting and probably was on Section 8 a lot of the times. They couldn't have an adult male in the house.
Right.
Or once you was grown, you was in the way.
Right.
You was
Right.
sharing a bedroom with a child or some shit.
Right.
You had to get out of your mother's house.
Understood.
But motherfuckers that come from money, because I know personally a few of them,
Mm-hmm.
they'll tell them, stay here.
As long as you got to.
Come home from college, come here.
Build.
Meet your fiance, come here. Get married, have your children. But you know what we gonna do? We gonna build you something just like this.
Right.
Over there.
And when that's done, then you go there.
Right.
But it's also
And they don't rush it.
Right. Can't rush it.
but not
One
even in
thing
our
that
community. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
One thing I want to shout my mom out to is anytime anything was hectic, she always told me, don't kill yourself to stay somewhere when you can always come home and push reset.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And you'll fight it, but it's nice to know you can go back.
Absolutely.
It's nice to know, like, you know what? I could really figure something out, save some money,
Right.
and bust another move. Sometimes that's only 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
3 weeks if you could really do it.
But I think
3 months
my thing is if you can
fair.
plan it,
Yeah.
if you can structure it as a plan, so if you combine your resources and buy some property,
And
combine
that's
your
the thing.
resources and own the property,
It's about
and then you can
ownership,
But that's the thing. Our parents, the generation before us, they got into the ownership,
Mhm.
but they only own
by
this
themselves.
much.
Yep.
Exactly.
You see what I'm
Right,
saying?
I know
So
exactly
they
what you're saying.
That many bedrooms.
Yeah.
But let's wrap this up, man.
Yeah.
Give all your information.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook at Kingram. On Instagram at I am Kingram. That's Kingram. My name is Kyle Ingram, so it's Kingram. You can follow Skins at SKYNS. That's my group with my girl. We just put out a project called Contact. We released a video
Salute
when
to
she was
the queen
pregnant.
too.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
absolutely.
Congratulations.
yeah, and you can go to Skins website and but follow me on Instagram for real because I'm going to be posting a lot of videos coming up in the next couple of months. So I'm with the Black Magic Minute stuff and if you want to support my organization Collab, you can go to www.collabnj.com or .org.
Please do.
Yeah.
With the .org on there.
.org,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on, but I appreciate you guys having me.
Man.
We're gonna have to do it again so we can talk about some more stuff because there's always. It's,
Always
even with 2 hours, it's difficult to put everything we got going on there.
But
Everybody's
we
so
gonna
busy.
get the figuring, man.
Oh yeah, man. So I'm definitely glad you hit me up because I'm wild busy, but you kept at it. And Kevin's like,
man, I don't play about you.
right. he was like, how about this weekend? I was like, all right, we're gonna do it. So I'm glad we got it done.
Genuinely appreciate you as a
of
brother,
course,
bro.
man. I appreciate
Absolutely.
y'all. I appreciate everything you're doing. I know you don't think I'm watching, but I stay watching. I know you
I
be
ain't
making
never
moves.
said that.
Cause I'll be watching everything. I'll be watching what Kay doing too. Y'all be putting on the shows and events, and I'm impressed. And I'm gonna, now that my son is here and I got some more time, I'm definitely gonna come out and
tap in
physically
with us.
support some more. So,
Tap in. Give me the heads up, and I'll make sure you situated when you get.
oh yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Love
And
the
it was-
shotties. I just want to tell you, I've been seeing it the whole time. I love the shot. I love your glasses.
Thank you, appreciate that.
It go good with the dangles.
No, it's just a reflection. I can see myself. I'm like, okay.
That's why.
Oh,
I'm playing.
Usually, I'd have gave you that. You gave that to yourself.
No. But it's just different. They're unique, so I like them for that.
Right.
I took Nas glasses yesterday and took pictures. I was like, I like these Jones. But anyway, check me out. Want to see magazine?
Dropping this shit. You see this? Go ahead.
Want to see magazine.com. Holla at your girl. It's your greatest magazine online. We have everything from education, entertainment, edutainment. Holla at your girl. Want to see magazine.com. We have some new and exclusive things coming out. And as he looks at that, you could also catch me. It's going to be in a change format. It's actually new and exclusive. I'm saying this, but on Fly Girls, you can. Oh, yeah, that Bent Wine Company. I like that.
Nice.
Do you think?
Check the Fly Girls out every Fly Day on glocawearradiostation, station, the greatest station in the nation. And you can also catch the Fly Boys on Fly Days starting at 4. Fly Girls are at 3. Check us out. And bro.
Nah, I just want to shout out to the sponsor of this episode, Bent Wine Company,
Oh.
Black owned.
Nice.
This is my brother. Shout out to Tricks. All right, Kevin Tricks Bent. Bent is his last name, so this ain't no.
That's perfect. I love his last name. It was ready for that. His name was right.
That's lit.
We went to the
Bent
polo.
wine from the name.
You probably saw the pictures. We went to the first annual Polo Classic. It was the second that they had, but it was the first official one. A lot of beautiful people, dressed gorgeous.
You like y'all had fun,
enjoying wine. Shout out to Kay for escorting me. But I want to say that I'm talking about, if you ever seen me in that Only in America, that OIA shit, same guy. Same guy that got soccer jerseys
Only in America.
Adidas from having his own clothing line, like a partnership with Adidas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that's big.
One day he went to a wine tasting and he said, I want a family wine. And in less than a year, we was at a Polo Classic supporting my boy.
I love that. Go get it.
You know what I mean? So support him. He's the sponsor this week, and
I want to go next year. Look like you had a good time. I want to be the next one.
We're gonna have him more here soon. He knows he got to come through, but when you moving like that at that rate, he ain't had really time to shoot the Philly real quick. But
I just said I want to be at the next classic. That's
no,
all.
you definitely you'll be at the next classic for sure. And I want to tell him congratulations. He proposed to his lady at that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Bro, he tore it down, bro.
Yeah.
He did it how you supposed to do it.
That's what's up, man.
Why not propose at my own Polo Classic?
Yeah, that's pretty fire.
That's
beautiful.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With all my people in it. Man, it was beautiful. So I want to salute to that. But this is Forever Will Be and Ever Shall Be. Sippin' with Sammie, Sam Malone, Barstool, Rug. If you ain't sipping with Sammie, you ain't sipping right. Please get your fucking life together.
Sipping, I'm sipping, I'm sipping, I'm sipping.
Oh,
I love that part. They do that part?
Yeah.
I know you wanna get like me. You know. Yeah, you know the juice ain't free. We got the juice. Yeah. Said we got the juice. You know. Said we got the juice. Yeah. Said we got the juice. Whoa.
We put a tax on the culture. We throwing rocks at the vultures. We pulling tabs on all the stockholders. We won every single penny that was owed us. For too long, people rode the wave that we made. They got paid, disrespected those that created the lane. Turned a profit, capitalized off our pain. Now the game done changed. We want it all now. We learned that we don't need y'all now. We can stand tall on our own too. We the ones that make the world.
I know you wanna get like me. You know. Yeah, you know the juice ain't free. We got the juice. Yeah. Said we got the juice. You know.
You just realize it's cool to be black. Past 250 years, where was y'all at? Rock, we started that. Jazz, we started that. We the ones that made you turn around, you started cap. No one on the corner got a swagger like us. Hush that fuss. America, where would you be without us?
I ain't no orange for you to squeeze. Do I look like a fruit tree? I got the juice. Yeah, we got the juice. I ain't no orange for you to squeeze. Do I look like a fruit tree? I got the juice. Yeah, we got the juice.